Yep, part 9 it says. Yeah, so we got into the valley at about part 5 I started the whole Amane Route flashback when the bus just got done crashing into the valley. That flashback ended on part 8. And from what I've read up, and from what I can imagine, I'm fairly certain it has to be by far the longest backstory in the entirety of Grisaia. Well, Fruit of Grisaia here. And then there's still eventually, probably in not too long, going to be a choice that will decide whether or not I get bad or good ending, and I'm gonna ideally want to look at both. I mean, for Michiru and Makina, I looked at both endings in each of those routes, so yeah, I'll just do that again when the time comes. Even after those revelations, there haven't been any major changes in my life with Amane. Only real differences that came to mind. Amane's calmed down on the physical clinginess, and I start to notice subtle shifts in her emotions. From what Sakaki tells me, this has been going on frequently, even before now, but when something happy or fun happens, Amane tends to get a slightly brooding look on her face. Now that I understand these signs of self-reproach and guilt for what they are, I admonish her. You're allowed to smile, sometimes outright order her to do so. Although I know she's still thinking how a cowardly insect like me has no right to be happy, she always manages to give me a sweet, artful smile in response. Amane told me I once had a crappy excuse for a smile, and now I understand why she saw through it so easily. She's a far more experienced master of the forced smile. It might sound like a joke, but it seems that Takazono Private Academy actually had formal lessons on how to push your face into an elegant smile. Kazuki had always been even worse at smiling than I was. Imagine her trying to desperately contort her face into a friendly simper is absurdly amusing. Hey Amane, tell me something. That smiling lesson or whatever. I assume Kazuki participated in it as well? Oh, don't know. I was in Class D, so I never had lessons with Kazuki's Class A. Just thinking about it makes you laugh. Kazuki curtsying politely in time to the teacher's piano with a beaming smile on her face. I think I'd pay money to see that. No kidding, but then again, if you actually did see that, I feel like it might be more terrifying than anything else. Kind of think of it, when Kazuki was still a grade schooler, I did see her practicing her smile once. No way! Kazuki of all people? Not sure when this was exactly, but Kazuki came to deliver something I forgot in my classroom. A classmate came up to me afterward and asked me about her. Why is your big sister always so cranky in this kind of scared little voice? Of course I said that's just normal for her. When I returned home, I told Kazuki, one of the kids in my class thinks you're kind of scary. Guess it was a little bit of shock, even for her. She started practicing her smile in front of the mirror after her bath. Funny, right? You're allowed to smile yourself, you know, or even laugh. Yeah, I know. It's been years and years after all. I understand I should be able to talk about this with a smile by now, but smiling is the duty of those who are left behind. Please try. Yeah, but when I remember Kazuki, it's just no good, huh? From reading the contents of Amane's diary, I understand that she worshipped Kazuki like a god. Odds are giving my standard order a smile now would only worsen her suffering. To be honest, the topic of my sister still stings a bit for me as well. I guess I've developed my own way of coping with it. Amane, tell me something. Do you really believe Kazuki's dead? Wait, what do you mean by that? That's exactly what it sounds like. To be honest, I don't really buy it. Certainly she's dead on paper, and they did find something that was thought to be Kazuki's corpse at the site. But I just can't believe she died that easily. I don't want to believe it either, but I'm going to get into the slightly gruesome territory here, alright? Okay. The corpse of Kazuki they found on the site had been cut to pieces. You know that as well, right? Yeah. But for some reason, I never found her head. What do you think of that? She gave you a hint herself, didn't she? A long time ago, Kazuki told me about a swindle where careful cutting and pasting makes 10,000 yen notes into 11 slightly smaller ones. And she showed you a similar trick with the carrots? Corpses aren't any different. If you happen to have 10 of them lying around, you could probably make 11, don't you think? No way, I mean, that's just crazy. People and carrots are different things, you know? Not to Kazuki, they aren't. What you're saying is she's alive? I don't know that. If she is alive, why hasn't she shown herself to us? It's all a mystery. But there's one thing I'm confident about. I don't think Kazuki would accept death that easily. And she always did have a number of personalities. Characters she'd play. By now, she might well be casually going about her business somewhere as a totally different person. I can't shake that feeling. At the time, 13 corpses were discovered at the crash site. Many of them had been horribly damaged. But the numbers matched. The investigators didn't have any reason to be suspicious, and the corpses were roughly identifiable. There was no point in DNA testing. Given the dismembered, partially consumed state of many of the bodies, a few missing parts wouldn't have inspired any serious doubts. Of course, Kazuki's head was never discovered. When they discovered the corpses, they did investigate the cause of death, but there was no DNA testing performed. Kazuki's alive? No, I'm just saying it's possible to think that way. It's not like I have any real evidence. But Kazuki did say I'm not going to die and we'll definitely meet again someday. I'm sure she did. Right, but look, Amane, I'm not seriously trying to push this theory on you. All I meant was thinking Kazuki might still be alive somewhere might help you find the courage to. You're not listening to a word I say, are you? Hold on, where are you going all of a sudden? Apparently remembering something, Amane dashes off as if stung by a whip. I follow her, she flies up the stairs, throws open the door to her room, and begins rummaging around vigorously in our closet. Hello, Amane? Amane-san, anyone home? Here it is! Look at this! What's this? Sheaf of yellowed memo paper, wrinkled and stained by patches of dried mud. Even at a glance, I immediately recognize the familiar handwriting lining those pages. That's Kazuki's writing, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. This is the jungle escape memo that Kazuki prepared for me. Take the leaves of paper probably ripped out of a small notepad from Amane's hand. First, there's a rough map of the area around the camp, no doubt the product of Kazuki's independent investigations. She also included a number of messages to a certain direction within the forest, including orientation by the stars. If your path ahead seems overly difficult, don't hesitate to take a detour. And when you think your physical strength may be failing you, take a rest. Use the time to discard items from your rucksack, beginning with the heavy and inessential. The soil is full of volcanic rock and dense minerals, so the tree's roots are shallow and twisted. Also, access to sunlight is irregular. For these reasons, the direction of their growth won't be a reliable navigational tool. Maintaining pressure on your ankles offers some relief from swelling. Wear 2 sets of socks and pull them to the calf. Your lactic acid buildup will be less severe. Just don't expect this to offer much protection against leeches. Very methodical. That's Kazuki for you. And here, see? Take a look at this. If you fail to escape. Huh? At the end of her note, Kazuki wrote that I should head back to the camp if I couldn't get out of the forest. She drew a map to a spot where she'd bury some emergency rations. Judging from the fact she wrote these notes, she must have known from the start there was a good chance she'd be making you escape alone. I'm sure Kazuki predicted it would turn out the way it did. But what made this come to mind all of a sudden? If Kazuki is alive, I think there might be a hint on her whereabouts here. Here? At the scene of the accident? Yeah, that's right. If she wanted to leave me anything in the end, don't you think she would have buried it with these emergency rations? The day after the accident, Kazuki went into the jungle alone with a shovel. She must have been digging a hole and burying food she gathered from the bus. And she'd just disappear out of nowhere every once in a while. I figured she had a tiny bladder or something, but might have been making regular trips to that hole to hide something. If it's just food, then how's that going to lead to Kazuki anyways? I'm trying to see exactly how this is supposed to make a lick of sense. We're talking about buried food here, right? And just some vague sentences like, I won't die, or I'll come back to meet you, or something, or Kazuki's not the kind of person who would just let herself die. And if she is dead, I think it's where she would have stashed anything she was leaving behind. Hey, Yushi, wanna go take a look? Well, as long as the two of you can get out. Yeah, I don't want to have, like, Jungle Escape Part 2 Electric Boogaloo or anything happen. That seems, I mean, you... Yeah, you're not wrong, it'll probably be tough. That place is filled with awful memories. I think I need to face that at some point. If you come with me, Yuji, I'll probably be alright. I see. Just think of it as a little date, okay? Sorry, but please do tag along. Yeah, we're gonna go on a nice, lovely date into the jungle where Amane witnessed her friends eating each other to death. Sounds like the right place to go for a date. Very next morning, we borrowed a mini truck from the school, packed the box lunches Amane made, and readied ourselves to set off for the scene of the accident. But at least they're gonna have, like, actual good food with them into the bottom of the valley. It's not like they're gonna be eating whatever weeds they can find, or maybe taking risks with mushrooms or flowers that could potentially kill them if they pick the wrong ones. Or tiny grains of rice, or dog meat, or whatever they can find. Nearest station trying to be more than 10 kilometers away from the mountain. Driving's far more convenient. The plan is to make our way to the site, park in the lot at the foot of the mountain, and walk from there, but fortunately... there's apparently a memorial erected on the site of the crash, which means a path up the mountain was created as well. We shouldn't have to worry about getting lost. So you can just go up and down the side of the mountain, that's good news. When we first decided on this trip, I'd imagined a grueling hike through the woods, and back. But it turns out the memorial is only 2.8 kilometers from the parking lot at the foot of the mountain. We don't need any particularly elaborate plans for the walk itself, but on an emotional level, some preparations are still necessary. I'm gonna go buy flowers and incense for the offering. Flowers and incense for the offering? Exactly what is Amane planning to do here? Like, exactly what sort of ritual is she planning to perform at the bottom of the crash site anyways? What? Are they gonna be anointing somebody under the secret cult or something? Parking the mini truck near the Mishima Kate train station, Amane slowly lowers herself out of the driver's seat. Not that it's any surprise, but she seems a little awkward and subdued. I wouldn't be surprised either. Walking off with person hand dragging her feet like an exhausted office worker, heave a little sigh. To be perfectly honest, it's not like I seriously believe Kazuki's alive. I'm sure it's the same for Amane. If anything, visit to the scene of her ordeal has more to do with Amane facing her own memories head on. I don't think the secret statue of Kazuki's is particularly meaningful. My hopes aren't exactly high for some sort of clue. I'm just praying we don't dig up anything unpleasant. If Kazuki left her last will and testament or something in that hole, Amane might come out of this bearing even deeper wounds than before. Even so, it's been many years since the accident. After all this time, Amane's finally gained the courage to return. That feels like a significant change. Maybe she'll be able to start coming to terms with what happened. Maybe her burden will go a little lighter. The point of visiting a grave is to bring the comfort of those left behind. That's a firm belief of mine. I might have been a little too lost in thought. I didn't notice the man approaching until he was standing immediately behind me. Kazami. Yuji-san, I believe? Yes? The man seemed to pop out of nowhere. Concealing my surprise, I turned slowly to face him. Did he just call me by name? I'm not famous enough to be recognized by random strangers on the street. I carefully observe his face and look over his clothing from head to toe with a single sweep of my eyes. A man with a light build, most likely in his mid-40s. I don't recognize the face, even though it's the middle of summer. He's wearing a windbreaker jacket as though heading out on a fishing trip. Okay, I mean, I can see what he's wearing. Except for the boots and the pants and whatnot. On the whole, he leaves a pretty shabby impression, but the cologne he's wearing isn't cheap, and the glasses on his face are a first-class name brand. Don't remember him as a local shop owner or anything, but if he's just some tourist to come to fish in the sea, it makes no sense that he'd know my name. Excuse me, but who are you? Whoops! That's right. My apologies. My name is Sakashita. I'm a big fan of Amane-san's. Amane's... Recently, you see, I happened to overhear that she'd gotten herself a boyfriend, yes? Thinking it might be nice to say hello. You came here just to meet me? No. It's pure coincidence I ran across you today, of course. Simply happened to see you together with Amane-san, you see. The sight made me oddly happy. Just couldn't help approaching you, that's all. Yes, indeed. Is that so? That's a load of crap. The story's dubious enough, but my intuition's telling me there's something insincere about the man. For one thing, he's forcing his face into a spot by jerking up the edges of the mouth. For another, his eyes are dark and cold, and there's a strange superficial gleam floating on the surface. They resemble two deep wells of oil. The man stinks. His body odor is normal enough, but something about him stinks. It's a familiar, unpleasant smell that makes the back of my nose tingle ominously. The scent of bloodlust tinged with madness. Pardon me, but what do you do for a living? Haha. Well, given my appearance, I guess it's understandable that you wouldn't be able to guess. As a matter of fact, I was the director of an IT company until very recently, but unfortunately I happened to lose my purpose in life, you see. I'm guessing the team captain that died to whatever down at the bottom of the valley, that's probably this guy's daughter. As you can probably gather, I'm currently unemployed. I see. Who is he? I'm gonna guess the dad or obviously some relative of the dead captain. At the very least, he doesn't seem to be involved in my line of work. The face isn't familiar, but more importantly, he holds himself far too loosely for a pro. Even the Langley suits have spent most of their time behind desks project. A little more menace than this. And so you see when my company finally folded. I gained something of a new perspective on things. My mind had been utterly blank for so long, but all of a sudden I found something like an objective. An objective might be a bit grandiose, I suppose. How can I put this? I realize I still have things left to do, you see. Are you feeling alright? Whatever do you mean? You said something about bloodlust. No, Yuji was... No, this guy didn't say anything about bloodlust. Yuji was thinking of it. Suppose it's been rather dull. Here, my little story out of nowhere. I do apologize. Are you pressed for time? Not at all. Well, then I'll take my leave now. Do forgive me for boring you with my nonsense. And then the guy just walks off. What the... The sound of his footsteps, the faint smell of his cologne, the sight of his hunting cat weaving forward, I can't pick up any trace of the man. He's melted into the low buzz of the station streets as if he was never here in the first place. Wasn't a ghost, was he? Of course, I don't really believe in any such thing, but that sudden appearance and equally abrupt exit were about as ghostly as it gets. Sorry it took so long. What? Something wrong? No, it's nothing. This weird old man just struck up a conversation, that's all. Who was he? Don't know. Kind of a creepy one, though. There's no doubt in my mind he's an amateur. But I can't get over the gleam of madness in those eyes. I've seen that gleam before. Those are the eyes of a man who's thrown away everything. The eyes of a man who's fixated himself on one goal, abandoning all for the sake of his country, comrades, or family. The crazed eyes of a fanatic. Amane, he called himself your fan. Anyone come to mind? Well, not that I'm really proud of it, but I guess I'm pretty popular with middle-aged guys. But seriously, what? I wonder who he was? I have a bad feeling about this. Why? Was he that weird? It was like talking to a Grim Reaper in human form. I've got this sickening tinkle in my chest. Hold on. Are you okay? I've experienced something like this before. I don't know when exactly, probably in early childhood. It's a vague memory that my mind doesn't want to remember too clearly. A dark, unpleasant memory locked away for many years suddenly oozes out from a crack in the wall. The old man, huh? I close my eyes slowly as a sensation of cold perspiration grows in my armpits. Trickles of salty sweat roll down my forehead and over my closed eyelids. My hands are clenched tightly into clammy fists. It takes conscious effort to keep my knees from trembling. It's been a while since I remembered, a while since something triggered this psychological trauma. Yuji, seriously, are you alright? You're sweating like crazy. I'm fine. Doesn't sound like it. What do you want to do? Should we call it off for today and head back? No, you finally managed to make up your mind to do this. Let's go. The madness I sense in that man. Was it just a figment of my imagination? The scent of that cologne revived varied memories of my father in my unconscious mind, leading me into a paranoid post-traumatic delusion. Whatever the case, at the moment, I just want to put as much distance between me and him as possible. Our destination's about 2.5 hours away from Mishima Cape by highway. While I'll admit to a little unease of letting Amane take the wheel, it'd be difficult to complain given her obvious technical skill as a driver. The mini truck accelerates smoothly as we pull into the fast lane. It's 4-cylinder engine purring. Oh crap, so is the tire pressure a little low? Our rear swerved a bit when we went over those tracks. Well yeah, since we don't have a load in the back. What do you think? Should we stop at the next service area and get some air in the tires? Hardly necessary. Any more pressure and we'll ride rough once we're off the highway. Just turn the wheel into the sway and keep our weight evenly distributed. Focus on directing the rear driver's side and we shouldn't fishtail. Maybe a little light acceleration like this. Right, like you're gently turning onto an exit. I see. Just like driving on a snowy road. Even distribution of contact pressure, huh? Sort of like human torque splitter? You've lost me now. In any case, all I'm saying is we got 4 tires on this thing, so make good use of them all. Easy for you to say. I make driving look easy, but it's actually really tricky, you know? I do, but I also know what you can do. I wouldn't have said that to just anybody. What? You really are Kazuki's brother, aren't you? What's that supposed to mean? You two are definitely alike somehow. Can't deny it. In a lot of ways, Kazuki raised me more than my parents did. Right. Don't get so transparently depressed at every little thing I say, will you? I don't want to tiptoe around trying to be tactful. It's a pain in the ass. You don't mince words. Kazuki isn't as delicate a subject for me as you seem to think. I'm not going to completely laugh it off, but there's no need to get gravely serious every time I mention her name. And for what it's worth, I'm not trying to torture you about her death either. But, yeah, I know. When you want me to bully you, just say the word. I'll play along unless I have something better to do with my time. That nasty way of talking really does remind me of her. Don't laugh at me, woman. This is as much as I can do. I push and pull Amane around, keep her hands so full that she doesn't have the time to get depressed. And in her darkest moments, I scold her outright. You've got a responsibility to live for my sake. I won't allow you to run away from it. That's all I can do for her, but I believe it'll be enough. I believe she'll be saved someday. I have to believe that. But for now, Amane still recoils from happiness, sinking into strong depression at the best of times. If the weight grows too heavy for her to bear, she tugs on my sleeve so that no one else can see, then whispers into my ear, always the same words. Hey, bully me. I need my punishment for the day. Please. Tormented and teased, she finds the peace of mind that eludes her in a moment of gentle kindness. I've accepted Amane and that strange contradictory jumble of emotions just as she's accepted me. We'll work through them together from now on. I don't know how many years that'll take. If things go badly, Amane might be like this for the rest of her life. But as long as I'm able to tag along, I will. Huh, what? Remember something funny? No, just kind of amusing myself, seriously thinking about the future and all that. What the heck? Everyone thinks about the future every once in a while, don't they? I guess so. Everyone does, don't they? Sooner or later, everything that lives reaches that same future, in other words, death. I've imagined mine a number of times. No, imagine might not be the right word. I've brushed against the very real possibility of death a number of times, implanting the awareness that I might well lose my life this way in my mind. And in those visions, I always died alone without exception. I leave the world with all dignity of a stray dog in a ditch. No one grieves, no one gets a phone call. My corpse is disposed of in a business-like manner, and that's that. That's how I'd always seen it playing out. For a long time, I've scraped my way through life, unable to consider even my own path, and I'm seriously thinking about the future for the sake of a single woman. If that's not laughable, what is? So what do you have planned for the future, Yuji? That's an amazingly vague question. What are you asking me specifically? You said you stay with me for the rest of my life, right? I get it. You want me to propose? Well, sure I do, but here's the thing, Yuji. When we head back to the dorm later, I think you ought to look up the word delicacy in the dictionary, okay? Of course, I'm thinking about marriage as well. But since I've been living pretty selfishly and irresponsibly up until now, it's kind of difficult to even imagine. I've never lived the sort of life I could tell others about with pride. I'm pretty sure the idea of leaving any trace of my passing through this world has always repelled me. I didn't want to get married, much less have kids. I didn't want to take on anything that would be left behind after my death. Same reason I've never owned more property than I can carry on my back. I'm starting to think that for Amane's sake, I'd be willing to throw that lightness away. If so, I run smack into a logistical problem. Of course I'm referring to my job. Amane, the truth is I'm currently at something of a loss. After another 1.5 years at my job, my field term's up. Should I renew my contract, spend the years as an instructor while sitting exams and aim for promotion? Or should I resign, become a permanent reserve, and look for other work? Which would you prefer? It's quite the question out of nowhere. How are they different? Biggest difference would be in the level of danger. If I renew my contract and get promoted, my risk will go way down, but my total salary will drop sharply. Whereas if I become a reserve member, I'll be able to take on a day job, so my earnings depend on my abilities, but when called back for emergency service, my jobs won't be any less dangerous than they are now. In that case, I vote for the safer alternative. You know, even if I renew the contract, it's going to be difficult for me to move up the ranks, since I didn't attend a specialized school. Wait a minute. I thought he was attending Mahama Academy, which is technically one of those, so... Yeah, wait a minute. It'd probably take me 10 years to make assistant section chief, and getting any further would be harder still. Maybe even impossible. My base salary today is 187,300 yen a month. Promoted, 233,600. Even if I work until retirement age, maybe 49,100. It's not impossible to get by on when you add in the benefits and bonuses, but... Your future salary's already decided? Right, our company's got a pay scale, so the salary corresponding to every rank is clearly defined. But you'll be able to stop the dangerous work, right? For the moment, at least. But that's also dependent on circumstances. If an emergency develops and some big shot says, protect me even if it costs your life, I wouldn't be able to disobey. You just can't say no? Well, you can try, but your superiors say volunteer step forward. Hanging back isn't really an option. When you get right down to it, that's what they're paying us for. Oh, I see. But then again, if I die on the job as a formal employee, there would apparently be 100 million yen payment to my family. Okay, but you're still dead. If I become a permanent reserve instead, I'll still be called up for emergencies, but operating under the table, I can work a little more flexibly. In other words, I'll be able to play dirty behind the scenes without anybody complaining. Might be able to pull through serious crises through skill and craftiness, not an option for a normal employee. Which is safer when you get down to it. As long as there aren't any dramatic upheavals in the world, renewing the contract and becoming a regular employee carries less risk, but in the case of a large-scale emergency, being a reserve would be comparatively safer. Kind of a subtle difference. What do you want to do, Yuji? All things considered, I'd want to become a permanent reserve and look for another job. If we get married and start a family, I want to be able to tell my kid what dad's job is. You're thinking that far ahead? Don't sound surprised. Just whose fault do you think that is? A little while ago, I wasn't thinking more than a day or two ahead at most. That's a good thing, right? Probably, yeah. I don't mind going along with whatever you decide, Yuji. If you do renew your contract and take the lower salary, I can always get the job myself. And if you want to look for something else, that's fine too. Even on permanent reserve, they're going to keep me on a short leash for 5 years. I need to apply in advance to move to a new home or travel abroad, and I won't be free to pick any job I want either. But you still want to try and find something else, right? Don't worry, if you can't get a job, we can just become a long-haul truck driver team or something. Would you seriously be okay with that? It's all good, right? I love driving anything with tires, personally. Might be a better fit for us than you might think. Can't think of it. Do with a lead on a job, I guess. Not that hasn't been settled yet, but the principal floated the idea of taking me on at Mihama. So wait, you're gonna become a teacher? Nothing's decided yet. What subject would you teach? Oh, that's right. We don't have a PE teacher, do we? So you're going to teach gym class then? Like I keep trying to tell you, nothing's decided yet. But that sounds really good to me, you know? Not to put the cart before the horse, but Daddy's a teacher would be super easy to understand, don't you think? Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, marriage, huh? I was planning to introduce myself to your family pretty soon, but marriage would be a ways off yet. Have to get a job first at the very least. Still kind of happy, you know? Sort of feels like I got some optimism about the future all of a sudden. That's a good thing. Optimism if you put it nicely, wishful thinking if you don't. I think it was Kazuki who told me that we're both manifestations of a psychological self-defense mechanism that keeps us from committing suicide. Whichever this is, I'll take it. I don't think daydreams and theoretical scenarios are going to save Amane, but it's not a bad place to start. We arrived at the parking lot beside the mountain a little after 10, slightly behind schedule. I'm guessing this is still like the same chapter, right? Yeah, supposedly it's still the same chapter we're in here. Since we didn't know where the trail up the mountain began, we stopped to a diner and asked around. But apparently the crash site has become somewhat popular among local kids as a haunted spot. So the answer we received was, "What, you too?" and a judgmental glare. After we explained that I'm a bereaved family member, they finally pointed us toward the unmarked entrance. The utterly deserted path up the mountain had a gentler incline than I'd expected. The locals rarely set foot in here, and the trickle of visitors has slowed over the years, so the trail's neglected and overgrown. But now it's been halfway reclaimed by primeval forest. Not too far beyond this tangled jungle, we glimpsed a private golf club with neatly manicured grounds, but on this hike, our scenery consists of bristly, waist-high grasses swaying in the breeze, trees sticking out of harsh soil at all angles, and the slanting rocky path ahead. That surprisingly gentle incline didn't last long either. 10 minutes into the forest, the slope quickly grew intense. Thanks to the vigorous exercise and high humidity, my back's quickly soaked in unpleasant sweat. And noticing Amane's begun to lag behind, I come to a halt and turn around to face her. "You alright, Amane?" "I'm fine. It's a lot easier to walk than it was back then." The path's fairly wide. Probably cut through the forest with the installation of the memorial stone in mind. But even so, now and again we're forced to run to steep stretches of rock that we're forced to scramble up on hands and knees. Since we're not pushing through thick grasses as we go, it must be significantly better than it was for Amane back then, but it's decidedly not an easy stroll. If this road had been around back then... No use saying that now, of course. Deciding to interpret Amane's words as a monologue, I turn without comment and once again push forward on the rough mountain path. The further we advance, the twistier the road grows, the more frequent its severe ups and downs. Just as an experiment, I take out my M2 compass and open the lid. At a glance, the magnetic needle seems to be pointing north. Maybe dry compasses are harder to influence? But having finished sighting, I lower the compass to chest level and the needle immediately begins to shake. But when I place the compass on the ground itself as a test, the needle swings dramatically and fixes itself in a completely impossible direction. I take out my phone and flip on the GPS as to say, well, how about this? But while the latitude and longitude display accurately, the mapping gets me nothing but a no-signal message. I see, this is rough. I'm standing on a well-defined trail right now, so I don't feel any anxiety. But a quick visual survey of the surrounding area reveals nothing else that could serve as a landmark. Without this path, glancing over your shoulder for a moment would probably be enough to completely throw off your orientation. Where a powerful blizzard may create a temporary whiteout, a jungle this dense produces a permanent greenout. We spent 3 hours now hiking up the mountain. It's been 30 minutes since our third short breather. I'm just about to suggest taking a second longer break when I notice that Amane's grown extremely quiet. The look in her eyes suggests we've reached familiar scenery. It's probably over here. Letting Amane take the point, I follow a little ways behind. Before long, we arrive in the gaping, rocky ravine surrounded on all sides by overhanging trees. This area hasn't changed much since then. I mean, the bus is still there. The destroyed bus, at that. The rusted ruined bus is still lying where it fell 6 years ago. Most likely it was simply impossible to remove it from this place. Yep, that's the bus she was in 6 years ago. I see, if we went in that direction, we could have made it to the road in just 3 hours or so, huh? If you had a trail leading right to it. Even when aiming directly for a clear landmark, it's often impossible to keep yourself traveling in a straight line through dense forest. It takes so many detours to avoid obstacles that your direction will eventually be thrown off. In my company, new employees receive compass-based navigation instruction as part of their final training. After mastering basic compass operation, the final part of this little course involves throwing the newbies into a dense jungle with only a rough, handwritten map and absurdly demanding they find their way to a specific point. Given a halfway adequate path, it wouldn't even be a challenging hike, but in the primeval forest without even animal trails, it's no joke. In the end, the majority lose their way and give up. And these are adults who just spent a number of days learning how to orient themselves under difficult conditions. In some cases, they'll spend a good 4 hours or so hiking through the woods with a crude map in one hand, only to find themselves back where they started, the instructor sneering, "What's wrong? Forget something?" If anything, you did a hell of a job finding your way out of this place at all. I think it has much to do with luck as anything else, really. I was never confident about the direction I was heading. But still, I believe I'd survive as long as I just did what Kazuki told me so. I mean, given Amane's situation, like, the exact direction she was heading in... Well, I mean... The exact direction she had to head in was as far away from the rest of, like, her basketball team that became cannibals, as far away from them as possible, so... She might have just gotten lucky. That she just had to specifically run the direction that led to a road to her salvation. I mean, you have these people that are just gonna kill you on sight, so you gotta run away from them, first things first. Doesn't matter what direction you're going, just as long as you're getting away from them. As she spoke, Amane's downcast eyes fixed on the dignified, striking granite cenotaph standing before us. It seems to have been a while since the last visitor. The flowers placed before their monument are thoroughly withered, and the offerings of drinks or cakes have been clearly battered by the elements. After cleaning them away, Amane silently places the bouquet, the snack she bought in Mission McCabe on the table set up for offerings, and sets up and lights her incense sticks. Everyone, I took my time coming to see you. I'm sorry. Crouching down in front of the stone, Amane shuts her eyes and brings her hands together. To be honest, I'm still scared of you guys. But I can't just run away forever, so I'm going to stop now. I don't know what happened to you all after I ran away, but I'm sure it couldn't have been a pleasant death. Yeah, given the situation that... Given just how far into hell the situation had, like, descended, where it got to a point where everyone else, except for Amane and Kazuki, just resorted to eating each other, I would imagine. I mean, first they go through, like, the corpses of, like, the 3 students that died. I assume that was Haruka, Sakurai, and, yeah, Kamari. I assume once those students and the teacher and captain ran out of meat from those 3, I assume maybe it could have gotten to the point where everyone else literally just started murdering each other, and at that point, literally all you could do is just place bets on who was gonna, like, be the last one still alive. And, of course, when you get to that point, like, what then? If all I can think about is just, like, finding food and whatnot, not even thinking about trying to escape anymore, like, what then? You all died, but I crawled away and survived. I won't ask you to forgive me for that. Just thinking about it is shameless of me, I know that much. And that's why I won't apologize anymore. Instead, from now on, I'll offer you my thanks. Thank you, everyone. Amane's praying with an earnest, intent look on her face, but I can't think of anything to say to the monument. It's just a stone in the end. I knew Kazuki's not in there, but it's not that I'm stubbornly clinging to that cold realism. I simply can't find the words to speak to my sister. I've never been able to handle this sort of thing very well. Years ago, when my American classmate Daniel Vaughn died on the job and I rushed over to his funeral, it was the same. Staring at Danny's coffin wrapped up in the stars and stripes, I found myself at a loss. Hey Danny, you're kidding, right? The first Marine's Iron Man couldn't possibly have died, right? You're just going to pop out of that thing and yell, "Hey shorty, something wrong?" with that shit-eating grin on your face, right? Stop with the crappy jokes, Danny. Those were the only words that popped into my head. No words can reach the dead. If you want to talk about something, talk about the reason they're gone. No matter how we feel about the matter, people die all too easily when their circumstances demand it. Seeking the reason for the death of Kazuki and the others, I once asked JB for copies of the investigation reports, years ago now. Unexpectedly, the documents indicated most had died from acute digestive diseases, specifically orally transmitted infections, mainly colitis and hepatitis. The investigators conjectured the group had died in rapid succession, perhaps 2 to 4 days after symptoms first emerged. The source of the infections was almost certainly the human meat they'd added to their diet. Was the origin of their illness the dog they eaten after its death from sickness, or perhaps... I wonder who it was that cut everyone to pieces like that. Right. The corpses discovered in this place have all been severely mutilated, with the lone exception of Yoshihiko Ochi, the club's advisor. That disturbing scene dominated coverage of the accident, overwhelmed the truth through sheer spectacle. The phrase dismemberment murders took on a life of its own, ultimately leading to public suspicion that the sole survivor might have been the one responsible for just eating all those other corpses. when what really happened is that Amane almost ate some, like, human meat. And because she was just listening to literally everything Kazuki said and ordered to do, like, she was some omniscient god. Because Kazuki, like, knew that the rest of the students were just eating human meat, she declined, and just because Kazuki declined, Amane declined. Yeah, so she almost ate some human meat. But take a halfway serious look at the results of the investigation, you'd see the autopsy suggested the bodies have been cut apart only after death. And since Amane had escaped from the valley before the estimated times for most of the corpses, it was simple enough to surmise she couldn't be responsible for their mutilation. There were plenty of whispers and internet rumors suggesting that Amane must have deceived the investigators about the timing of her escape. But in any event, this was received by the authorities as a speculation it was, and the potential case against her was never pursued for insufficient evidence. The next target of the buzzard's innuendo and slander was Yoshihiko Ochi, recorded in the report as the only corpse among the 13 discovered intact. After all, a mass murder of female students by their own male teacher was an even more attractive storyline for the classless scum of the world. Since it had a stronger tinge of scandal than the alternative, the media leapt onto this new theory with all the enthusiasm of dog-thrown red meat, adding in insinuations of sexual assault towards pupils just for spice. With their slander, they tore apart Ochi's starved, pitiful corpse far more cruelly than any knife could have, in consideration of the extreme extenuating circumstances. No posthumous charges were ever filed against Ochi. I don't know, because he's dead, but much like the lone surviving girl, society presumed him guilty. Who cut them up isn't the problem. To keep history from repeating itself, the only thing that matters is understanding why. I guess that's not going to entertain anyone, is it? The hell's wrong with this country, anyway? Maybe I don't have the right to complain as someone who was born and raised in Japan and never tried to change a thing about it. I've also seen this country from an outside perspective, and it routinely makes me sigh in disgust. Wherever you go, people are fundamentally no better than they are anywhere else. I know that rationally, and I've experienced this many times, but it always brings on a nauseating surge of bitterness. I'm fully prepared to die the unappreciated death of a stray dog. Still, every time I feel this familiar wave of disappointment, I can't help but wonder what I've been crawling through the mud for. It makes me want to vomit. Amane, are you done yet? I'm starting to feel a little sick to my stomach. Yep. Thanks, I appreciate you coming along. Are you alright? I don't want to hang around this place longer than necessary. Let's dig up whatever Kazuki buried and get out of here. Sure, but I wonder what she left in there. To be honest, I'm a little scared to look. Reasonable enough. There's no telling what's going to come out of that hole. Even Kazuki's last will and testament might not be so bad on the scale of possibilities. Considering the circumstances back then, if by any chance we were to dig up her decapitated head... Even understanding that the idea is absurd, I learned a long time ago not to put anything past Kazuki, even the physically impossible. Kazuki, huh? For a long time I'd almost never spoken my sister's name, but lately it's been different. On the Black Cenotaph, presumably built by the families of the victims, that name is listed with all the others. The names of the 13 who died in this place. Kaneda Saya, Komori Megumi, Hiruka Tamaki, Sakurai Mifuyu, Shikanai Tsukasa, Ozawa Yoko, Okabe Tomoe, Sukuma Minori, Ibuki Hiruna, Kazami Kazuki, Oshi Yoshihiko, Koide Ritsu, Sakashita Chiaki. As I run my eyes across the list engraved with the smooth stone, something catches my attention. Sakashita Chiaki? That name, hold on. That's right, my apologies. My name is Sakashita. I'm a big fan of Amane-san. Could it be a coincidence? No, that's... Yuji, what's wrong? Are you feeling sick? Quiet! What is this? There's something unpleasant in the air. It's too quiet, not even the birds singing. As the trees rustle in the wind, I finally pick up the scent of a familiar menacing presence. My breath catches in my throat. In an open rocky clearing with little in the way of shelter, I've caught the murderous scent of an enemy. Amane, get down! Huh? Reacting instantly, I leap to push Amane aside, shielding her with my body, but before we hit the ground, there's a violent thrust against my right shoulder from behind. In the next split second, the shattering sound of a gunshot rings off the cliffs and soaks into the trees above, rattling my eardrums. Next thing I hear is a dull thump. By the timing I realized was the sound of my head striking into a rock on the ground. My consciousness is already sinking into profound darkness. Yuji! What a surprise! To think he'd notice. The man has the intuition of a wild animal. What do you think you're... Yes, yes. Hello there, Amane-san. I believe this will be my first meeting. I'm Sakashida Keiichi, Chiaki's father. I'm very glad to find you in such excellent health, Amane-san. Yes, indeed. Captain Sakashida's father? That's right, I'm the father of the girl you left to die. No, the girl you killed. Poor Chiaki. Why did it have to come to this? Dude, if only I could just tell him what actually happened. Chiaki? She actually tried to kill Amane. Like, it wasn't the other way around. Well, it's not like Amane killed Chiaki, it was closer to the other way around. Well, more like tried. If that was fate, it was far too cruel. It's enough to make you curse God. But you know, how can I put this exactly? God or what have you, when you get down to it, that's basically an abstract concept born from human weakness, right? Hardly satisfying. Cursing something that doesn't really exist. So, the way I see it, a man needs something a little more concrete and real. A target you can touch with your own hands. You know what I mean? Ugh. Yuji! Don't move, you little idiot! I'm in the middle of my damn story, alright? Pay attention, okay? Kids these days never think about anything but themselves. Hopeless trash, the whole lot of them. Am I right? Well? Ah, for crying out loud. Unbelievable, every last one of them. God damn it, now I need to reload. Don't move, you got that? Shit. Yuji. Yeah, I'm alright. Although I reflexively offered reassurance, fact of the matter is nothing about this situation is remotely alright. All well and good that I sensed sharp murderous aura in time to pull Amane down, but I didn't manage to completely escape the widely scattered buckshot pellets. It felt as though an enormous stone had smashed into my right shoulder. The blood flowing from my wound quickly grows cold against my back, gluing my shirt to my body. Okay, now I'm just wondering exactly how the hell, like, he found both Yuji and Amane at the bottom of the valley here. I don't know, maybe Yuji told him he was going to the bottom of the valley or something? Maybe? The wound's not going to prove fatal in the short term, but when I try to pull myself up off the ground, my back screams with pain. I try to find a less painful way to move, twisting my body like a caterpillar, but it's wasted effort. The first huge stab of pain has all but paralyzed my body. Keeping still is about the only way I'm able to maintain my composure. Alright, let's discuss my daughter. Having finished reloading shells into his break-action vertical double-barreled shotgun, Sakashida mumbles these words into himself in an oddly calm tone of voice, staring up into space. Observing his suddenly placid behavior, my throbbing heartbeat slowly begins to settle down. At the very least, it seems it doesn't intend to kill us immediately. Sending Amane a small signal to wait for now with a flick of my eyes. I quietly settle back to watch and wait. Chiaki was my only child, born to me at 30. A daughter I produced at great pains with a wife I didn't love. A woman I married at my parents' recommendation at 26. To be perfectly honest, I didn't even want a child. But you see, my aged parents were quite fervent on the matter. And my family circumstances meant I couldn't flatly refuse. My father made himself a very wealthy man playing the real estate game in the chaos of the post-war years. And I absolutely didn't want to inherit the business he'd built through taking advantage of others' misfortune. I frequently rebelled against him and often got a good beating for my insolence. Whoops, gonna get off track, aren't we? We're talking about my daughter after all. And anyway, to get the old vile man off my back, I accepted the wife he offered me at the age of 26. She was the daughter of a regional bank's president. A stuck-up piece of trash who cared about appearances and nothing else, so on and so forth. Managed to succeed in getting her with a child. So Chiaki was born. I also named her. Not if there's any profound meaning there. She was born in October, so I lazily threw together the characters for Thousand Autumns. Rather trite, really. But what do you know? Life works in mysterious ways. When my daughter was actually born, she was so unbelievably adorable, my heart just melted. What the hell's that got to do with us? The words almost emerged from my mouth, but I bite my tongue. Right now, we're powerless. Our eyes fixed on the hunting shotgun in Sakashida's hands. Come on, I could do nothing but listen to his words. Apparently pleased by our submissive attitude, Sakashida continues his monologue in a relaxed, easy tone of voice. Whatever the circumstance of her birth, Chiaki was very precious to me. I loved her as much as life itself. When we heard that my Chiaki had gone missing on her way back from that training camp, can you imagine my shock and horror? Of course, I requested the most thorough possible search, including the helicopters. It nearly cost 700,000 yen a day, and I paid all of it alone. And yet 2 full weeks passed without any sign of her. No one ever suspected the bus might have tumbled off some old road well off the planned route, trapping her in this awful place. Of course, it would never occur to me either. At one point, I was half convinced my girl had been kidnapped and shipped off to some foreign country. All my efforts were woefully off target in retrospect. And then, when everyone around me began to give up hope, you returned to life all by yourself. Of course, we instantly reorganized the search party and they sped off to the rescue, but we were too late. When they recovered Chiaki's body from the scene, I learned my child had been cut in 8 pieces, torn limb from limb, quite literally. I felt as though a part of my own body had been ripped away. Yes, as you might imagine, I cried. In the hospital where they brought the remains, I clung to what was left of Chiaki for the white sheet they wrapped her in, and I wept and screamed like a child. Such cruel misfortune. I would have taken her place if I could. For a time, I did my best to content myself with that miserable fantasy. But you see, after losing my daughter, it seems all my luck deserted me. Everything crumbled down around me. My company slammed the crisis and my family fared no better. My wife divorced me, my aging father passed away, followed by my mother within half a year. Perhaps Chiaki came to pick up her grandma and grandpa, you might not have guessed it, but she had a rather spoiled side to her, you know? She loved her grandmother and grandfather very much indeed. For 4 years after, even as I waited for Chiaki to come for me as well, I tried my very best to live on, but it was no use. Everything I touched fell to ashes. Work was a disaster. My debts amounted to no avail. Before I knew it, most of my executives resigned at once. So I had no choice but to fold the company I had built. I lost my daughter, my parents, my wife and my employees abandoned me. My company crumbled. The only thing I had left was my debt. Well then, what can I do with myself now? My mind was a pure blank, but couldn't see any path forward. There's just then a certain source of mine, I suppose you could say, a former classmate of my daughter's, contacted me. That girl told me she'd seen Amane enjoying herself at a festival near the train station in Mishima Cape. Ah, right. I'd offer her a reward for information on that young lady's whereabouts, the way she suddenly disappeared as if to flee from us. I'd rather bother me at the time. It was only a vague memory that then, but just on the verge of forgetting, I was suddenly reminded of your name, and then a coincidence I thought, yeah, something like destiny. And so you see, all of a sudden, all flooded to that blank mind of mine. What should I do next? What I had left to do in this world, I could see it all so clearly. That's the reason you attacked us? Yes, that it is. I suppose you'd call it revenge? Or perhaps retribution? Yes, indeed. Retribution? Are you serious? Confirming that my pulse has largely settled down while hearing out Sakashida's idiotic life story. I dig my hands into the gravelly ground and pull myself to my knees. Yuji! It's fine, get back. Grabbing Amane's wrist with a hand coated in sticky blood, I draw her body behind mine. Stop trying to numb the pain of your failure by pushing the blame onto a scapegoat. All you're really looking for is an excuse to end your miserable life. If you want to die, do it alone. Don't take people who still have a future down with you. Now this is a surprise. You got quite a mouth on you. Aren't you afraid of guns? You, cause I'm a Yuji-san. Just what are you? You seem oddly accustomed to having a muzzle pointing in your direction. This attitude doesn't seem to be just the bluster of a clueless youth. So calm, one might think you've stood in front of a gun many times before. Very odd. Having taken a shot, you understand this is no toy, yes? As if to demonstrate, he thrusts forward the muzzle of his gun. The twin barrels coated with black paint to prevent bare metal from flashing a warning to unsuspecting prey. Glitter dully in the afternoon sun. None of that matters. Sakashida-san, respectively, sir. You're full of shit. You want to find a new purpose in life? Fine, good for you, but I don't give a damn. But retribution, who the hell do you think you are? You're just taking out your misery on others. Who died and made you judge, jury, and executioner? Does a shotgun in the hard luck story make you some kind of holy warrior? Because from where I'm standing, you look more like a condescending, arrogant lunatic. If you had a real reason to deliver retribution, and if you were qualified to play that role, maybe I'd accept your judgment. But I'm not going to play along with the temper tantrum of some idiotic child who can only hold himself together by forcing his misery on others. Don't make me fucking laugh. This is quite something. You've actually got a bit of a silver tongue, don't you? Such a desperately passionate little speech. Were you trying to anger me? Get me to turn my gun towards you rather than Amane-san? Perhaps you thought to enrage me into unloading both barrels on you, enabling Mane to escape as I reload? This really is something. Such courage. You're quite the little hero. So cool. Alright, I'll permit you to have a crush on me. Well then, if you're that attached to the idea, perhaps I really should kill you here and now. Feel free to try. As a rule of thumb, people who bother to spout off threats like, "Do you want to die?" aren't about to follow through on them. When someone wants you dead, they'll kill you, not waste their time giving you a sermon. What this man really wants is to see us cowering on the ground, begging for our lives. Ideally with snot running down our faces. Amane? Oh, what's the matter, Amane-san? I'm the one who left your daughter to die. I'm the one you want to kill, right? Yuji has nothing to do with this. No, he lost his sister here. If anything, he's a victim just like you. You're asking me to spare Kazami-san's life, even if it means surrendering your own? Yes, I am. Very noble request, but let's see, whatever shall we do? If you want an excuse to die, fine. I'll die with you, here and now. Amane! Stop, stay out of this, Yuji. This is between me and him. Ha ha. Is he that precious to you? This Kazami-san of yours? As Sakashida's face twists into the habitually mocking expression of a man wrought to his core, Amane realizes their mistake. This man had no intention of letting me go from the start. He intended all along to kill me before her eyes, to force her to suffer the agony of losing someone precious to her, and only then take her life. No, it's entirely possible I was the only target from the very beginning. He may want nothing more than force Amane into the depths of despair, to leave you stranded in agony, crawling pitifully through a living hell. You see, I've been waiting for a very long time now for a chance like this. Nobody understands my pain. So in the end, this is all I have left. You know, you're one hell of a nuisance, old man. I imagine so. That's the point of this little exercise, after all. Please savor my arbitrary cruelty at greater length. That's the one and only thing that can bring me comfort now, you see. Disgusting. Very nice. Yes, despise me. Curse me from the bottom of your heart. All that. Most of all, suffer. Suffer terribly. Alright, you can run away now. What? Are you deaf? I'm telling you to run. Scamper away. Struggle pathetically. I want to see you cling desperately to your miserable lives. Ready, set, go. What the hell are you waiting for? Run! As if stung by the sound of Sakashida's blasting in the sky, Amane roughly grabs my clothes, pulls me on my feet, and drags me down the rocky path at a dead run. As I'm forcibly dragged to a sudden action, my spine creaks painfully and my wounded shoulder pulses with agony. Amane! Hey, Amane! My voice doesn't reach her ears. Half carrying me, she runs in sheer desperation, frantically putting every inch she possibly can between us and that man. That man's no different. Not human anymore. He's a ghoul. Amane's tearful, choked voice trembles with terror. Simply fleeing from the mocking laughter behind us is the most we can do. More times than I can count, we lose our footing on the uneven ground. Half crawling over sharp rocks and thick vegetation, we run desperately, directionlessly, thinking only of gaining distance from our pursuer. Whenever we come to a momentary halt, the blast of gunfire gouges the ground only a little behind us. Frantic to keep our legs moving, we eventually lose all sense of where we're going. But as we splash across the small stream Amane and the others had used as their water source, our menacing shadow abruptly vanishes. Did we get away? He doesn't seem to be chasing us. No, he's here, hiding himself but watching us closely. You can tell? Only by intuition, but I don't think he'd give up so easily either. At a guess, Sakashida must be a recreational hunter. The first time we met, he approached me with perfect stealth and vanished like a ghost into the station crowd after our conversation had concluded. Most likely he's got extensive experience hunting large wild game like deer or bears. Such animals can notice the presence of a typical human being from a good 200 meters away. Hunting such creatures requires the ability to blend perfectly into your surroundings, a skill equally applicable to stalking other humans. This man's a serious goddamn nuisance. Gah! Yushi, how are your injuries? Definitely something lodged in my right shoulder. The pain isn't unendurable, but I need to get this bleeding stopped or things are going to get ugly. That said, in our desperate flight, we left our backpacks and pouches behind at the memorial. We don't even have the most basic of medical supplies on hand. What should we do? Binding the wound isn't going to be easy, since to your shoulder and back. That is a problem at this rate. The bastard's just going to slowly torture us to death either way. We have to fight back somehow. We have absolutely nothing in the way of weapons on hand. And having been shot, my ability to fight is dubious at best in that case. Amane, let's split up here and escape separately. Huh? But... He wants to kill me in front of you. If we try to run away together, that's how this will end. Also, it might be unfair of me to put it this way, but I can operate easier alone. I want you to focus on escaping. No. Again with this? You too, Yuji? That's no different from what happened with Kazuki. You absolutely won't do it. I've already decided. I'm not going to run away anymore. Of course I'm not planning just to run. I'll play the decoy. Lure him out by pretending to flee, then turn the tables and crush him. In a fight where you have the added responsibility of protecting someone, this is the better strategy. Please try to understand. This is an order. Answer me, Amane. No. Amane! No, if you're going to die, I'm dying with you! Nobody said anything about dying! Kazuki said the same thing. She said she wouldn't die. She promised we'd meet again. And then she died anyway. I won't fall for it twice. Amane. I don't want to survive all alone. Ever again, so this time, I'll protect you, Yuji. Even at the cost of my life. Of course, that doesn't mean much. I'm sure my life is a dirty, worthless thing, but I'm not going to run anymore. My punishment for running away back then. My disgrace. Here and now, I'll wipe the slates clean. I've had more than enough of this staggering through this screwed up world, hanging my head in shame. You're the one who got me back on my feet, Yuji. You have to understand. I know an apology is enough to atone for anything, but I'm sorry, Kazuki. Even if I'm separated from Yuji here and now, I'll be reborn as many times as it takes. I'll just search him out and become his big sister again, so please, forgive me just this once. I'm sorry, Kazuki. Don't apologize, damn it. This isn't over yet. Nobody said you could give up. Also, don't hold conversations with dead people. This is exactly why you're already dragging the past around like a ball and chain. Fools only look ahead, crybabies only look behind, envious children only look up, and scornful asses only look down on others. But they've all got tunnel vision. You're no different from that old idiot Sakashita. But nothing, woman. That said, what do I do? There's the choice to make. So, I've been live for an hour. I don't know how long each ending is gonna be. I don't know if I'll be able to just get through both endings in the same stream. I may try. But which one am I gonna start with? I don't know if there's any dialogue I could look at to just sort of give me a hint as to what might be the good ending or the bad ending. So... I'm trying to just think if there's some dialogue from earlier that might just give me a clue as to which will be the good ending and which will be the bad ending. I mean, I know for Makina's choice at the end of her route, I remembered some dialogue. Definitely gave some nice foreshadowing as to which would give you the bad ending and which would give you the good ending. I remember Yuji saying something along the lines of, if you're going to kill somebody, be prepared to lose your own life in the process. Like, I remember this after finishing the Makina route, like quite some time after. And you have the choice to kill Makina's mother or let her live, and take a guess what happens if you kill her. Yeah, some spoilers, but sorry about that, if you didn't want that spoiled. This does seem like it's gonna be harder for... Yeah, but... I don't know, this does seem like it's gonna be harder for... Yeah, it was Sakashita to actually kill both of them. I don't know what's gonna be the good or bad ending. I'll just go with the first choice and see what happens. I'm gonna guess this is the bad ending, but I don't know. I'm guessing sticking together is gonna work out, like, poorly, but I don't know. Right, so Yeah, I just want to double check to make sure that I can just go and make the other choice once I'm done looking at this one. Can't leave her alone right now. Alright, run away together. Thank you, Yuji. Looking into Amane's face, I find myself growing strangely contemplative. Hasn't been long at all since we met, but somehow I feel like we've been together for many years already. In that short time, I gained many priceless things from her. For that very reason, the thought I might fail to save her from this predicament is immensely frustrating. I bite my lower lip, a sudden physical rush of anger spreading hotly through my body. Yuji, you're still bleeding. We gotta do something about those wounds first. I glanced down, following Amane's gaze. Probably because I got myself pointlessly worked up, fresh blood began to flow from my wounded shoulder right down my arm, dripping from my fingers to the tips to stain the rocks below dusky red. Gunshot wounds problematic enough, but the blow to my head as I hit the ground must have been more severe than I'd initially realized. Without a determined effort to stay alert, the world before my eyes quickly seems to grow dim. Something salty and liquid begins to flow into my eyes. At first I assumed the pain's causing me to sweat heavily, but when I wipe it away with my hand, I discover my forehead has begun to bleed as well. Psh, break time's over. Get running, huh? The man's got no patience. Alright then, listen up, Amane. We're up shit creek without the proverbial paddle. To be frank, there's a good chance we're both going to die here. Ready to stare down the Grim Reaper? Yes! No, you aren't. Thanks for trying, though. Human beings can't acclimatize themselves to the possibility of death as easily as that. The closer death grows, the more the mind flies to sentimentality and reminiscence. Remembering some friend from elementary school, you sniffle like a child. Just looking up into the sky at twilight, tears flow down your face. It takes 3 full days of living with death for the paralysis to set in. Yes, paralysis is the only word for it. Death begins to take on meaning in its own right. It becomes the only thing that does matter. Sometimes the emotions utterly numbed, the survivors stagger into its clutches with a stupid smile on their faces. Might have been the wrong thing to ask you. Fine, let's try this instead. I'm not a charitable enough guy to roll over and die when someone tries to kill me. I'll fight back with every inch of the way, and if it comes down to it, I want the last words out of my mouth to be not yet. If you want to call yourself my woman, you're gonna have to do the same. Since you're prepared to die, you can do it fighting at my side, got that? Yeah, for you, I'll fight to the bloody end. Thanks, I know I'm a stubborn pain in the ass, but that's what you signed up for. Yuji, I love you. Stow it, don't make me blush, I'll bleed out faster. I'd like to smother you with kisses right away, but gotta save it for later, right? Don't ask questions if you know the answer. Alright, let's run. As he licked his lips, dry from the tension of the hunt, Sakashita Keiichi stalked cautiously through the jungle in pursuit of his prey. Some 10 minutes ago, his fleeing targets had split up to run in different directions. Wait, I thought they stuck together. I thought I picked the choice to have them stick together, and the other choice was to have them run away in different directions. After a moment's hesitation, he decided to quickly chase Kazami Yuji, his initial objective, the more problematic of the two. For some time, the boy had been blundering forward like a winded beast, not even trying to conceal his flight. A crude sneer spread uncontrollably across Sakashita's face as he followed. This is fucking pathetic. Even a deer can run better than this. Deer flee at full speed the instant they realize they're being targeted, and they won't stop until there's no longer the slightest sign of their pursuer. Even afterward, they'll stand quietly on full alert for 30 minutes to an hour, cautiously ascertaining their safety. If the hunter gets tired of waiting and makes the slightest move, the deer will instantly take flight once more. Back to square one you go. The only thing you do is wait. Erase yourself, melt the forest, clear all emotion from your mind. In time, the deer will decide the crisis is past and begin to move normally again. That precise instant is the best window of opportunity. Living things are never more vulnerable than in moments of relief. Of course, human beings are no exception. The moment your desperate flight finally brings you to safety is by far the most dangerous. This Kazami Yuji had piqued Sakashita's interest at first, but his flight had been clumsy, and for the last few minutes he'd shown no signs of movement whatsoever. Perhaps his endurance had simply reached its end. Was it just overestimating you? That morning, just after he'd called out to Kazami Yuji for the first time, Sakashita had momentarily felt his breath catch in his throat. Something about the man had set Sakashita's hair on end. It was a familiar feeling, the kind of tension known when confronted by a large carnivore. Kazami Yuji's eyes were bottomlessly disturbingly dark, and instead of his youthful, even boyish face, Sakashita thought he'd seen the hint of a powerful and yielding will, and those eyes flashed over him. When they did, they were very much the eyes of a beast appraising potential prey. Sakashita had seen such eyes before. His instructor at an overseas hunting school had looked at him the same way. That instructor had spent many years in the Marine Corps, participating in innumerable combat missions. A true soldier had fought many enemies and outlived them all. Until the vision of her right eye failed, it was said that instructor had been the greatest sniper among even the Marine elite. Those black, glittering eyes that possessed true power. Not the hollow threat of some city thug leering glare, the raw menace of a beast's indifferent scrutiny. His knees had trembled at every glance. Kazami Yushi's eyes gleamed with the same light as the genuine article Sakashita had once known. When the shock passed, the fact had brought him something like joy. He finally found the thing he'd been searching for. His goal was revenge for his daughter. He'd been searching for something to stand in his way. An effortless revenge would be meaningless. It would be no worthy tribute unless he was made to labor for it. And this is what I get. If he'd just given up, a pity. With a short sigh, Sakashita took another step forward, slowly approaching his immobile target. Of course, this move was executed with perfect stealth. He couldn't afford to be careless yet. There was still a chance this was some form of trap. Squinting in the dim light that filtered through the canopy above, Sakashita cautiously observed the ground ahead. Scattered drops of Kazami Yushi's blood formed a trail forward into the brush. No obvious traps, but there was no telling what a wounded beast might be capable of. Surely a man with eyes like that wouldn't give up so easily. But in retrospect, there were many things about Yuji he didn't understand. How could a boy like that, still virtually a child, have such impenetrably dark eyes? Since you in Mihama Academy, a box made to keep the sick daughters of wealthy men discreetly out of sight. He must have some unique circumstances, but Sakashita's investigations had yielded little in the way of answers. The moment his informant told him Suo Amane was in a relationship with a man, he had gathered all the information he could, none of it particularly revealing. Kazami Yushi, precise personal history unknown. After an extended period studying overseas, he had transferred to Mihama Academy only months before as a specially invited international scholarship student. He might not even be Japanese. In fact, Sakashita's face-to-face meeting with the man had left him with just such an impression. Kazami Yushi had spoken with the habitual slang and warped tone you expect from a young person these days. His words had been oddly stiff and formal, almost like a foreigner who'd learned Japanese from a textbook. And somehow, the way the boy held himself simply didn't feel typically Japanese. Even his build was unusual. He clearly trained his body intensely, but in a way utterly removed from the bodybuilder's quest for inflated masses of decorative muscle. Kazami Yuji was lean, sinewy, as a forge for a specific purpose. As Sakashita's thoughts rolled uneasily through this litany of incompatibility, something like an answer suddenly popped into his head. An agent from the north? He heard something about a school that existed to produce killers. After enduring severe training from a very young age, it was said those students that satisfied their standards would be sent off to foreign countries. He had no idea whether there was any truth to the story, but applied to Kazami Yushi, it felt shockingly consistent. Given that strangely firm and erect bearing so completely out of place in a modern youth would be entirely understandable as a military deportment. I don't think of it, Sakashita's father had been no different. Men who spent time in the military are permanently left with a different set to their face, even their way of thinking is transformed. No matter what the situation, they're always simultaneously considering the best and worst case scenario. A soldier? Or perhaps a civilian in military employ? A contractor? When his thoughts progressed this far, Sakashita drew to a halt. This is a trap. All of a sudden, Sakashita felt very nearly convinced of that. He stared cautiously through the trees at Kazami Yushi's white uniform some 30 meters ahead. Keiichi was aware he suffered from a mild case of night blindness, although it had no effect on his daily life. Recently, his astigmatism had been progressing as well. When the lighting grew poor, he had significant difficulty making out the exact shape of distant objects. In the dim, gloomy forest where the treetops intercepted most of the sun's light, he could clearly make out the white school uniform on Kazami Yushi's back, but there was a possibility the boy was making use of that sharp contrast to deceive him. Once the thought occurred to him, it started to look almost like the jacket had been draped over a suitable tree branch. God damn it. Cursing silently to himself, Sakashita lifted the shotgun to his hip once more. His anxiety and nervous tension rendered his movement somewhat sloppy and the gun rattled in his hand as he brought it to bear. 30 meters ahead, the uniformed figure flinched in surprise and turned in his direction. Just my mind playing tricks on me. Nothing but a child after all. Lightly exhaling in relief, Sakashita took one step forward toward the white uniform. In that instant, you just let down your guard, didn't you? His face contorted with agitation and fright, Sakashita spun around toward the voice, swinging his gun up to his chest, but there was no one behind him. Wrong way. And once again, the voice was behind him. Sakashita wheeled around a second time, only to find himself facing a large flat boulder. Realizing the boy had thrown his voice off the wall of stone, he ground his teeth in frustration. Where the hell are you? Swinging from side to side, his gun and eyes moving as one, Sakashita searched frantically for the source of the voice. Like I said, wrong way. You little shit! Get out here! The instant Sakashita screamed those words, he heard a bush rustle with movement a few meters behind. There you are! Rather than Kazami Yuji, his eyes and the muzzle of his gun found something else entirely. A long tree branch, curved back like a tightly drawn bow. What? The branch instantly whipped forward to Sakashita's face. A split second after he squeezed his eyelids shut, the rough wooden bough struck him across both eyes. White stars exploding across his field of vision, Sakashita staggered backward, utterly blind. Oh shit. By the time the thought ran behind his mind, it was already too late. His arm was jerked behind him. An unseen hand twisted the lever of his gun sharply upward, and the brake action barrel swung open. I told you that was the wrong way, you know. The voice was behind Sakashita again, but this time he felt warm breath on his ear. This can't be happening. His ears ringing, frantic and terrified, Sakashita tried to turn toward his enemy. But just as his head began to rotate, a hand reached out from behind and firmly seized him by the face. As the long middle finger of Kazami Yuji's hand dug savagely into his right eye, Sakashita Keiji screamed in agony and horror. What kind of a monster is he? The instant that thought ran through Sakashita's mind, a heavy kick to the back of his knee sent him sprawling forward, his head yanked back against the momentum of his body. He came to rest defensively against Kazami Yuji's chest, chin up and throat utterly exposed. He's going to kill me! Sakashita's hand, still holding his gun, was pinned against his back. His shoulder and elbow screamed with pain, bones audibly cracking. His weak hand, the only possible means of fighting back, was desperately clutching at Yuji's wrist in an attempt to keep his eyeball in its socket. He was completely powerless. If the man behind him stabbed his throat with a sharp branch, let alone a knife, he would simply die. Stop! Even as he screamed the words, Sakashita knew it was a laughable, hypocritical request. He knew this man wasn't about to stop any time soon, no matter how nicely he asked. But if it distracted Yuji from inflicting pain on freedom the briefest of moments, any words would do. Bastard. You're an agent for the North, aren't you? Sorry, not quite. The same dispassionate whisper as always. Under these circumstances, it sounded so pitiless and cruel that Sakashita involuntarily swallowed all the saliva in his mouth. As the warm liquid made its way down Sakashita's throat, his utterly exposed Adam apple bobbed violently up and down. Close, though. Everyone always gets so very close. Are you planning to kill me? What do you think? I'd hesitate. Unfortunately for you, I'm used to patricide. Especially when it comes to worthless, scum-sucking fathers like you. God damn it! Why? Why did I fail? Very simple, Mr. Sakashita. You only know how to kill prey that doesn't fight back, and you picked a fight with someone who only knows how to kill human beings. Here's a tip, if you want to kill a human being, you need to go in prepared for the possibility you'll be killed instead. Or that you'll get killed just after getting the kill. God damn it! Oh, shut the hell up already. So, is he dead? As Sakashita collapses to the ground, I let out a brief sigh, then crouched down to strip him of his hunting shotgun and equipment. Using a nylon rope and packing tape I find in his back, I quickly restrain him. Is it over? Yes, somehow or other. Amane tentatively draws near, taking in the scene. Accepting my school uniform from her outstretched hand, I gingerly slip it back on. Staring down at Sakashita's limp, tightly bound body, Amane furrows her brow anxiously. Did you kill him? Why the hell would I bother tying up a dead man? He's alive. I see, that's good to hear. Is it? You do remember who we're talking about here, right? That doesn't matter, I just don't want anyone else to die. That's understandable. I have no intention of adding another layer to Amane's trauma. That happens to be the main reason this man's still breathing. It's all good in retrospect, since it worked out, but to be honest, that was one hell of a tight scrape. You bet it was. I was scared as heck the entire time. And in pain, I was about ready to throw a temper tantrum if it didn't work out. Pouting, Amane holds a hand to the back of her head. We devised the plan on the run. A trap using a tree branch to momentarily rob Sakashita of his vision, and what made it possible was in fact Amane's own hair. Must be some really, like, strong, durable hair in that case, if I can tie a tree branch. With no weapons on hand, we have to devise our own. And as we ran, those long, healthy locks quickly caught my attention. By tying many strands of her hair together, we could use them as substitute tripwires. At first, Amane clapped her hands happily, saying something about finally finding a practical application of digital communication, but... after having nearly 30 strands of her hair yanked out of her scalp, she was half crying from the intense pain. Don't be mad, alright? You were pretty damn near perfect back there. Squatting down in the darkness in my uniform to lure Sakashita into the open, she manipulated the strand of wire in her hand to provide the crucial distraction with impeccable timing. Might have been 30 years between them, but she was still at gunpoint. Her composure was nothing short of remarkable under the circumstances. Well done, Amane. The strategy couldn't have succeeded without you. You're getting an official commendation. So, this sounds like it's the good ending, but I'm not 100% certain just yet. So, running away together might have been the good ending. I don't know, it's looking very likely that it is, but I'm still not 100% certain just yet. Let's get out of the forest and really just make sure we're nowhere near this guy. And he never finds us ever again. It's over now, right? My only response to Amane's question is a furrowed brow. I've seen this expression before. It's the third kind of face a woman can show you. Not the face of a woman you can kiss, not the face of a woman you can't kiss, the so-called special case expression. Staring blankly at that expectant, almost demanding face, I suddenly feel very, very tired. Not yet. An expedition isn't over until you reach your front door. Save it for when we get back. What? Come on. Hey! Yuji! We're going home, I'm exhausted. Alright, so I lead her back down the mountain. Sakashita's fodder we leave on the spot. Trust like a turkey. Once my cell phone finally picks up a signal, I gave JB a call and push everything onto her. Naturally, that shaggy-headed dork doesn't take the news well. It takes a good deal of patient effort to explain the situation. I end up sentenced to present myself at headquarters for an oral hearing and delivery of a detailed written report. The gunshot wounds on my back are painful enough, but now I got a pain in the ass to deal with as well. 1 week after the incident, the wounds on my back have mostly stopped aching. My right arm still supported by a thick sling hanging around my neck. I paid a visit to JB's office at company headquarters to offer my formal explanation. Yet again, you make my life difficult. Yeah, you have my sincerest apologies. That's all I ever get from you! You're no better than Asako was! Guess it comes with being I-9029. Might as well just resign yourself to that fate. You are such a pompous little twit. I mean, just look how badly you managed to hurt yourself. I don't remember hearing anything about that over the phone. Figured I'd save that for the formal report. Were you worried or something? Get over yourself. Your life doesn't belong to you alone. It's vital national property. You do understand that, right? Yeah, I understand. You don't understand a damn thing, do you? You have no idea how worried I was. What, so you're worried after all? Absolutely not! I was just concerned about a piece of national defense equipment sustaining damage, that's all. You were so full of it. Shut up! I don't need your back talk. What's your problem anyway? Jeez. Is it me, or has JB been veering dangerously close into Mitru territory lately? Maybe it really does come with the hair color. So what happened to that Sakashita man afterward? Didn't you read the newspaper this morning? I spent the morning flirting with Amane, so unfortunately not. Sakashita Keiji is dead. Dead? That's correct, he seems to have jumped to his death from the rooftop of a hospital he'd recently been admitted to. Wait, how did he get up there? What, so while everyone's back was turned, he got to the rooftop of a hospital? Well, I assume, like, he got... Well, I'm trying to just imagine how he got himself up there. Can't imagine it was too hard to just jump if you're really just no longer attached to your own life. He just went ahead and jumped. That's what the paper said, and the morning news and tabloid TV shows were all reporting the same thing. Suicide? Well, that's what it sounds like. Most likely the death of his daughter set off a long, painful downward slide in his life. Something along those lines, I think. And his one attempt to just, like, avenge his daughter's death failed miserably. If he was the sort to kill himself, I'm pretty sure the incident we're here to discuss never even would have taken place. What incident would that be? You lost me. You covered it up? There was no incident whatsoever. Mr. Sakashi discovered that all life was folly and shuffled himself off this mortal coil. That's all there is to it. Did you give him a push? Come on now, such slander. When your voice gets all high-pitched like that, there's always something ugly going on behind the scenes. A little thought to an alternative scenario? Something worse. That's the spirit, such a clever boy you are. And you say I'm full of myself. Can I leave now? Feel free. What, you miss Amane-chan already? Looking at your hair too long makes my eyes sting. Oh, come on. I like that hair, to be honest. Me, personally, that's nice hair. Depends on the woman it's growing on. Alright, then I'll be going. Actually, hold on a second. You need something else? It's about your earlier request to make your stay on the reserve permanent. I managed to secure a conditional approval. If you pass enough promotion exams, they'll allow it. Both. Can't stay a specialist forever now, can you? Reach second lieutenant will allow you to register as a permanent reserve officer. Telling me to go back to school yet again. We'll even make special arrangements so you can commute from home. What a pain in the ass. Still have another 1.5 years in the field term. Take your time and think it over carefully. My current rank is 5th from the bottom of the table and she's telling me to jump another 5. If it was just HQ exams, it'd be assured enough, but demanding I also pass the Japanese test for every rank is downright sadistic. If I keep working the way I am now, it'll take a decade of serious effort to hit that rank. Even if I renew my contract and accept this training course, I can't see it ending in less than 7 years. Talk about delayed gratification. So that's how it is. You're gonna attend a technical school? What does that mean exactly? Probably, yeah. Does that mean you're gonna transfer? No, I'll be starting a new school in 1.5 years. In other words, after my graduation. So it's not happening right away? That's right. After graduating from here, I'll be going to a new school for about 7 years, at a guess. Mind holding off on the marriage until after that? Of course you'd mind. Yeah, dumb question. If you tell me to wait, Yushi, I will. No, that won't be necessary. I'll talk it over with the higher-ups. There are restrictions on marriage as well, but once my field term is over, things should ease up slightly. I doubt it'll be a problem. Really? Then after you graduate, you'll marry me? Got that backward, Amane. I'm the one asking you. Please marry me. Yeah, alright, I'm on board. Let's get married. Yep, this is the good ending, alright. I would assume. Sounds good so far. They're both alive and well, and they're getting married. I'll find myself a job in the meantime, since I'll be graduating a year before you. A job? Why? You're gonna become a student again after you graduate, right? In that case, I'll put food on the table. Even as a student, I'll be earning a 106,600 yen monthly stipend with bonus twice a year. From what JB tells me, the head office covers a certain percentage of housing costs and other living expenses, including an additional allowance for married employees. So can I be a full-time housewife instead? If you want to work, I won't stop you. Shouldn't really be necessary, though. In that case, I'd be able to concentrate on raising the children. Maybe just start learning how to knit baby socks or something? I think you're jumping a gun a bit on that one. Jumping the gun a bit, still a ways off. Those thoughts prove surprisingly transient. Time always passes more quickly than you expect, all too quickly. Half a year passed and Amane already graduated from Mahama Academy. That said, she immediately rented an apartment within walking distance of the school, so I didn't exactly have to go out of my way to see her. In fact, she made a routine of coming to the student dorm every morning, making breakfast for me and Makina, and passing us our lunchboxes. In the evening, we'd eat dinner at Amane's apartment. This pattern held for maybe a month or so. Soon enough, Makina grew irritated with the effort of walking between the dorm and Amane's building. After renting the room next door, she presented the school with an application demanding special permission to commute, under the pretense of ensuring a secure living environment, and somehow she forced Chizuru to sign off on it. Next door neighbors might not sound too bad, but in reality, Makina was soon virtually squatting in Amane's room again. This is when they'd been in the dorm together. Another year after that, it was my turn to graduate. And it's planned for some time now, entered a special technical school specified by headquarters. In addition to monthly written exams, my new student life involved irregular, sometimes completely unannounced physical fitness tests, often amounted to something like a very rigorous and painful game of musical chairs. I don't know, tell me more about that. I'm trying to imagine a game of musical chairs being painful. Like, what happens if you, like, lose your chair? If you fail to sit on a chair in time, you get yourself beaten with a stick? Like, is that what happens? At first I was living in Amane's room and commuting, but the daily travel on top of the grueling training proved too much. I rented a room near my new school's campus and returned to Amane on the weekends, a pattern that held for some time. But after about 2 years of this temporary solution, Makina finally chirped, "When are you gonna get married already?" Startled, Amane and I looked into each other's faces. Having reached a mutual conclusion, it was in fact about time we got around to that. We were soon after married, finally fulfilling our promise to each other. And not long ago, 5 years after my graduation from Mihama. After various trials and tribulations, I cleared the last of my required exams, well ahead of schedule by virtue of my superb grades. At long last, I entered the permanent reserve, gaining a degree of freedom. For my day job, I chose to become a teacher at my alma mater, Mihama Academy. Hey, need a gym teacher or something? It had been years since we talked about this. I asked this half as a joke, but here I am, ready to teach a new crop of Mihama students their English. Life works in mysterious ways, as they say. Hey, oops. Good morning to you, Mr. Kazami, sir. Hey, Oni-chan, oops. Yeah, life is just full of mysteries. Wait, Makina's seriously still at that school 7 years from now? For example, why is Makina still a student here? Yeah, you're certainly not the only one asking. And she still sounds literally like she didn't even age at all, and it's been like, what? 7 years of the special school to get onto the permanent reserve, and then 1.5 years at Mihama, so 8.5 years and Makina hasn't changed one bit. Okay, why is she still in Mihama? The girl's what, in 8th year by now? But she can't repeat again next year, so I guess it'll finally be graduation time. Did she seriously just fail, I don't know, how many years in a row? And also, did she never really hit puberty either? From what Amane tells me, Makina repeated her grades 7 times in a row, ending up something of a super freshman. By all rights, her age should be a serious problem. Makina was so childish to begin with. Even now, it feels like her appearance just caught up with the other girls. Huh? That's Bobotaro's engine, isn't it? I guess Makina's back? She poached Bobotaro off you? I stopped riding on, so I told Makina I'd let her have it if she got a license. Didn't really expect her to pull it off so quickly. Yeah, she literally can't fucking get out of English class, but she got a license. I'm home, Amane! What are the snacks today? Hey there, Makina. When you've been outside, washing your hands comes first, alright? Snacks can wait. Yes! There's a reason Amane stopped riding her bike. Specifically because she's given birth to a child. Naturally, I had a hand in this. Hello there! It's me, your real mommy! Hey, you don't go filling your head with nonsense, and more importantly, you can be a little more careful. Don't drop her, alright? You dare not drop her. I ain't the same klutz I used to be, you know. I don't know what to say. I'm trying to just imagine how the hell someone fails English 7 years in a row. Like, has that even ever happened in the real world? Has anyone in the real world ever failed their year in, I don't know, an academy 7 times in a row? I'm now thinking back to those old Angry German Kid parodies where Leopold, well, yeah, Angry German Kid, who, like, he was basically always called Leopold Slick. Yeah, one of the things that was common between all the parodies, he was just extremely dumb when it came to book smarts. Like, he was just god-awful terrible at his job at school. Like, for example, like, whenever I'd see him, like, taking tests, he'd give ludicrously wrong answers. And I think he actually spent, like, less time in each of the schools he went to than Makina did. And he probably graduated sooner than she did. I seem to remember someone saying the exact same thing just the other day, about 3 seconds before giving my baby a piggyback ride and knocking her head against the ceiling. Who was that again? Was it me? Right, sorry about that, but no biggie. Girls are more popular if they're a little bit stupid, you know? Don't be ridiculous. Women are all about cooking. As long as she can make a decent meal, she won't have any trouble finding a man to bring back the bacon. No worries on that, Cat. I mean, it's Amane's baby. She'll definitely grow up into a hell of a chef, right? Not if you keep knocking its head against the ceiling, it won't. Girl's only 3 months old, right? None of us know what kind of person she'll become. She'll be a beauty. She's got Amane's horny genes inside her, you know? I put money on her growing up to be a freaky sex addict. Hey, Oni-chan, is this girl suddenly brings home a good-for-nothing bum and says, meet the man I'm going to marry, what are you gonna do? The hell are you talking about? There's only one thing to do. Rip off my shirt and yell, alright, bring it on, punk. What, the same as my dad? Right, I beat the living hell out of your dad, fair and square. A bride is something you win, not something you're given. Thanks to that little rumble, you had to close down the shop for 3 whole months with a bad back, you know? He's the one who ignored your mother's approval and started shouting, if you want Amane, I'll take her over my dead body. Sometimes words are not just enough. If some dork comes along asking to marry this girl, you'll beat the crap out of him? What if it's some Arab oil sheik? Well, I don't care what he does for a job, as long as he can protect my daughter no matter what. If you call yourself a man, then defend your woman with your life. If you can't promise me that, go the hell home. No. If a spineless idiot like that has the nerve to even show up, I'll friggin' kill him. For real. Let's not kill anyone, thanks. In the first place, how many guys out there can beat you in a fight? And more importantly, if the girl says she loves him, isn't that good enough? You're already turning into the classic overindulgent mother, you know that? Guess you do have a point this time, I wouldn't completely ignore my daughter's opinion on the matter. If she asked for my blessing, I'd ask her a question right back. Would you throw away your life for this man? And if after a day passes her opinion still hasn't changed, I guess I might be able to sorrowfully approve of the marriage. Probably. Possibly. Maybe. You don't sound quite convinced there. What's so funny? It's just, I don't know, I'm really happy, that's all. I see. Yes, very happy indeed. After what happened back then, was it wrong of me to be truly happy? At times the anxiety would roll over me like a smothering wave. Even then, if he's at my side, if Yuji's by my side, then surely the day will come when my sin is washed away at last. Some I'd come to believe that. Eventually, Makina, too, graduated from Mahama Academy and decided to leave her apartment. She continued her studies at a German school of art, and most likely won't be coming back to Japan for quite some time. German school of art? I don't know why I'm just wondering why the hell she picked Germany. Now that she had left, it almost felt as though my own daughter had left the nest. A complex, slightly lonely feeling. While teaching in Mahama Academy, Yuji continued his occasional work as a reserve employee, but lately the sudden calls in the night have finally triggered to a halt. He spends a few days a year acting as an instructor, nothing more. In another year, it seems he'll be able to retire even from that position on the permanent reserve. It's been 20 years now since we were married. 20 years and I still don't know what company Yuji worked for, the details of the job he performed for them. But then again, I suppose I'm not particularly interested in knowing either. As promised, Yuji always came home safe and sound to me. To ask any more would be too much. It's just that every once in a while I wake up in the middle of the night to the sound of Yuji moaning, suffering at my side. When I call out to him, he always says it's nothing, but I always lie awake beside him, reflecting on my powerlessness. All of a sudden, it's been 40 years. I'm a genuine grandma by now. But Yuji and I, together as always, are enjoying our autumn years in our own peaceful way. Old age brought with it something like calm, I suppose. Passage of time itself seems to have grown as tranquil as the flow of a passage stream. And Yuji no longer wakes up crying out in the night for as he did for so long. One night, looking down at his serene face, he slept beside me. I thought to myself that his war was finally over. That he finally returned from hell. Thought that brought me profound relief. A peaceful, quiet half-year later, they found the cancer inside Yuji. He'd always been the sort to suffer in silence. When they found the disease, it was already too late. They gave him another 5 months. I mean, at least he's dying old. and not like the ripe age of 17 or anything like that. Even so, nothing much changed. We lived our ordinary lives, spent our ordinary days together. Secure in the knowledge tomorrow will be just as ordinary as today. And on a Sunday morning, 5 months after his diagnosis, Yuji passed away, surrounded by his family. Yuji died as well. Once more alone. While on his deathbed, he told me, your punishment isn't over yet. And I continued to obey his words. Wait, but he's dead. Even without him to remind me, as I spend the rest of my years saying thank you. But even with Yuji gone, I'm not as lonely as I expected. When I close my eyes, memories of the time I spent with him flicker back to life with perfect clarity, one after the other. Of course, we've had plenty of fights over the years, but looking back, they're all happy memories now. And to my enduring pride, he never once in the 40-something odd years complained about a meal I served him. I'm sure I don't have that long myself. Then again, I can see him again whenever I want, so why not keep him waiting a little longer? Never did lose my fondness for teasing Yuji about things like this. The 5th summer after Yuji's death. Counting back, this would have been the 50th summer since I met him. My daughter and her husband arrived from Tokyo for a visit, their youngest daughter in tow. It had been some time since I last saw my little grandchild's face in person. She looks quite a lot like I did at her age. Come to think of it, Yuji said she kind of resembles you just after her birth. Somehow I know this will be my last summer, and so I set off on a little trip, sitting in the back seat of my obliging son-in-law's car. Destination is a public park, overlooking the sea of trees where 14 people had suffered that 13 had died. My one and only lingering regret after long years, when I pushed them out from my mind, was never recovering what Kazami Kozuki had left for me in those woods. Well, when you have someone pointing a gun at you, that's not the first thing you should go do. First thing you should be doing is, I don't know, I'd say fight back, but unless you have a gun of your own. And you know you can just, outpace, the guy that's trying to shoot you. Unless you know you can just draw your gun and shoot him faster than he can, or whoever. Then, really, I don't think you can fight back against that. So I guess you gotta just run or something, or just pray that it doesn't actually kill you. Yeah, no time to just go and get Kazuki's belongings or anything. I suppose there aren't many people left to visit it anymore. The mountain trail that leads to the scene had completely fallen into ruin. I mean, that's what 50 years would do, right? With my tired old legs and fragile back, the hike simply wasn't possible. Having finally given up on climbing the mountain, I sat my exhausted body down a bus stop bench left out in the sun. And looking up toward the scene of the accident, I brought my hands together in prayer. When I closed my eyes, I could still recall the faces of my friends, the other members of the basketball club that were on that bus with me. Even now, the faces that swim before my eyes one by one are distorted with agony, filled with anger and grief. Everyone, I'm sorry, and thank you. How much longer will it take before you can forgive me? Will that day ever come? Even though Yuji's no longer here to punish me. Hey Kazuki, what should I do? I can't find the answer all by myself. Hey, Grandma! Yes, dear? What kind of a person was my grandpa? I see, when Grandpa died, you were still very young, weren't you? Why do you ask all of a sudden? Well, because Mom told me Grandma looked sad, so go talk about Grandpa with her. That girl never changes. Considered in strange ways, clumsily kind. I think she takes after Grandpa in that respect. Was Grandpa a kind person? Yes, he was, and he was a very cowardly, very brave man. Cowardly and brave? Rather than cowardly, he was cautious about everything, always carefully thinking over every step he took beforehand. But no matter how dire the situation, even in the position anyone would think hopeless, he'd say the hell with that and stand up. Yes, he was a very brave man. Guess it doesn't quite click for someone who can't remember him, eh? I remember. He'd say crazy stuff sometimes, but he really was a kind grandpa. I see. Are you lonely now that Grandpa died? I don't really feel that way, but somewhere deep down I probably am. But I'll be moving on soon enough, so perhaps I'll be able to see Grandpa again. It's strange, I was so very afraid of dying back when I was young, but now I don't find the idea particularly frightening. You're not scared of dying, Grandma? I'm not scared, but I suppose the idea does make me feel a little lonely. Why? I can't shake the feeling that I'm going to hell. And there probably won't be any people I know there, so that makes me a little sad. Don't worry about that too much, okay? Grandpa told me once that if you don't do anything bad for 5 years, you can go straight to heaven. I don't think it works like a driver's license. What is that you got in your hands? It's a lucky charm, see? A long time ago when we visited Grandpa in the hospital, he gave it to me. You know, no matter what kind of critical situation you get in, this charm always protects you. Grandpa said this guy's super effective, so take good care of him. You still have that thing after all those years? It made me very nostalgic to see that small stuffed dog again. I gave him that when we were still students. Although it's frayed and worn in places, it's clearly been mended many times over the years. The thought of him treasuring this childish charm for so very long makes me want to cry. As you'd expect, it's pretty beaten up. Kind of a ghastly looking thing by now. Isn't that why it works? Grandpa said this doggy saved his life many, many times, you know? He never mentioned any of this to me. Oh shoot, I forgot. He said it was embarrassing, so I couldn't tell you. Very typical. That's right. I forgot to give you my thank you for the doggy. Your thank you? Grandpa said I'll give you the whelp of fortune, so make sure to show Grandma some gratitude later, okay? Hold on a sec. I was gonna give it to you the next time I saw you, so I'm pretty sure I left it in my wallet. You got something for me? What could it be? What is it? Okay, so it's a ticket to heaven. To heaven? Well, as long as you got this, you'll go to heaven, guaranteed. Thank you. On the rectangular piece of paper, probably cut out of a sketchbook, there are bright crayon drawings of flowers and animals, and a few characters in rather sloppy handwriting. Even my aged, far-sighted eyes could clearly make out the words "Ticket to Heaven" boldly written on it. I wonder if it'll be alright for me to go to heaven. Why wouldn't you? Grandpa's waiting for you up there, right? Yes, that's true, but... Don't worry, Grandma. I'm sure everybody's okay with it. After all, you're a good person, right? You think so? You bet. I mean, I'm happy you're here for me, you know? Hey, Grandma. Thank you for being my grandma. Those words made me happy. Happy she'd grown to a girl who said thank you so easily. Happy that there was someone who'd thank me for living. So happy that I could no longer control my tears. Yes, thank you. I'm happy too. Thank you as well, Yuji. I'm so very glad I was born. I feel as if I've just been saved. Many, many things happened. I had many worries, many bitter regrets. At times I tormented myself. It wasn't exactly what you could call peaceful, but even so, it wasn't a bad life by any means, because I spent it with you. In the end, I truly believe that. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'm coming to join you now. When I arrive, will you bully me again? Please, Yuji. Grandma? What's wrong? Are you crying? Oh, geez, you're smiling, huh? Good for you, Grandma. Grandma, did you fall asleep? My grandchild's voice faded slowly into the distance. In the blue sky above, I saw beautiful white clouds. In between those clouds, so close I felt I could reach out and touch them, he was waiting for me. Young as the day we met, wearing that familiar uniform, and when I wept out and cried out, shameless as a child, he smiled his familiar, clumsy smile. I heard his voice saying simply Amane, and I reached out to him. When he clasped his hand with mine, it was as wonderfully warm as it had been back then. That made me so very happy. The moment I took that hand, I knew with perfect clarity that at long last everything was forgiven. I don't know what it is with basically any video that plays when I'm playing Fruit of Grisaia. No matter what I do, it's just physically impossible for me to actually get it to show on the stream. And I'm currently looking at some Japanese and I don't know, like, what it says. I'm looking at some text and I don't know what it says at all. And I'm looking at basically, like, a top-down view. Well, actually a view looking up at the forest that Amane had been stranded in for so long. Yeah, so I'm basically looking at another credit sequence. Wonder if I should just skip the credit sequence and you just get straight to the bad ending. And also several CGs that showed up earlier throughout the visual novel. One with Amane brushing milk in his hair, another one with Amane in her bra and panties holding, I guess, her tank top that she typically wears when she's like not wearing her school uniform. I don't know if I could just entirely skip the credits. I'm gonna guess I can't. I only consider skipping it because I still have no clue how to get to actually show up on the stream. I have zero idea. Yeah, I think this is from the main route, one CG I'm looking at where Amane sprained her leg, and she's sitting in such a way where, yeah, I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, it's been a really long time since I got off the main route. And actually got to just choose to go on the individual character route. It's like a really long time. Okay, then I'm looking at Amane scrubbing Yushi's hair while they were in the bath together. Yeah, then Amane smiling while, like, being on her hands and knees under some bed sheets. Literally, all I can do is just, like, describe the CGs as they appear. I don't know, I just feel so helpless right now, to be honest. I can only describe what I'm seeing. And then her wearing a kimono and smiling at the festival. Oh, I'm pretty sure I can't advance the credits any way, shape, or form. And then, of course, Amane with her entire basketball team, just standing and or sitting in front of the wrecked bus at the bottom of the valley. And then Makina holding Amane's baby. So I'm guessing the credits are almost over. Yeah, we should be getting to just about the end of this soon. Yeah, looking at the CG with Amane as a grandma and her daughter, so we really should be getting near the end of this soon. Wait, so from the daughter's point of view, like the granddaughter's point of view, isn't it a little sad that maybe your grandma just, like, died on the spot right next to her? I don't know, it's a little implied that's what happened. It's sort of implied. Yeah, I would definitely like to print screen the CG of Amane and Yuji holding hands in heaven together, but I don't even know if that's gonna work. Last time I tried to print screen, like, my game while it was playing this credit sequence, not even that would show. So, let's see if I'm gonna have enough time to also knock out the bad ending in this same stream. I kinda wanna go for it. So, running away together got the good ending. Running away separately, this is gonna go wrong because it didn't go wrong with sticking together. We're in no position to have a debate about this. Amane wanted to stick together, I would assume, but Yu's just gonna say, like, no, fuck that, we gotta split up. Only thing we can do right now? Well, from what I've seen already, no, it isn't. The other thing you can do is just stick with her, which ended up working out. With there being typically both a good and a bad ending at the end of each character route, this is gonna fail, somehow. It's the strategy that leaves us the highest possibility of surviving. Alright. Okay, good girl. I'll be the decoy and run to the right. You break in the opposite direction once he follows, got it? Yeah. Break time's over, get running, huh? This man's got no patience. Listen to me, Amane. Focus on keeping yourself alive. Don't even think about giving up. I'm not Kazuki. I'm going to survive this, and I'm going to hold you in my arms again. The only thing you need to do is believe in me and run, understand? Ah! Yuji! Yuji! Run? I've been running for a very long time now, for many things. I ran away from this mountain, deserting my friends. I ran away from those who blame me, hiding myself from their eyes. I ran away from my own guilty conscience, using Yuji as my refuge. If Yuji thinks he can protect me by pretending to flee, I can do the same for him. No matter what, I'll never run again. This time it's my turn. I'll get Yuji out of here alive. But to achieve that, I need a way to fight back. I need a weapon. That said, we left all our luggage back at the monument. And even then, we hadn't packed anything that might serve as a weapon. A rock or tree branch off the ground would probably be more effective. What do I do? As I move my hand through the pocket of my jeans and search for anything useful, my fingertips brush against the folded sheet of paper. This is the memo Kazuki left with me all those years ago. And on the final page, there was a roughly sketched map to a hidden stash that had been planned to unearth. What did Kazuki leave behind for me? When I was in trouble, Kazuki would always save me. For some reason, I feel like she's gonna help me one last time. Help me, Kazuki, please. To be perfectly honest, I can understand how Captain Sakashi's father feels. Sometimes the pain of losing someone you love can prove simply unendurable. Rationally, he knew there was nothing but a cruel accident. For a while he accepted that, but I understand why he came to despise me. The one and only survivor of that nightmare. Why did I survive? Why not his daughter? What was so different about us that our fates had diverged so sharply? It's no surprise he might conclude me I was a coward, a traitor, a monster. It was the most comforting possible interpretation. Maybe the only one he could bear to accept. Comforting bitterness slowly twisted his thoughts until at last Suo Amane murdered my daughter became his truth. For years and years that hatred built up in a dark corner of his mind, fed by misery and pain. Given no outlet, no release, with the spark of my classmate's message, must have simply exploded. Unable to endure the overwhelming sorrow of his daughter's death, he transformed it all into hatred against me. Powerful anger gave him the strength to crawl up from the depths of despair. Just as I used Yuji to parry my pain, that man found his refuge in his loathing for me. I understand. I really truly do, all too well. But even so, tracking Yuji into this, that I'll never forgive. Begin to dig into the earth, so on and so forth. Even so, I push into the earth again and again, begging for help. Kazuki, help me. Yuji's in trouble. Come on, please, you have to help me. The stash isn't buried as deeply as I expected. Soon enough, a dirty blue cooler emerges from the earth. This was something that belonged to the basketball club. We'd searched the overturned bus high and low for it, but never found it. We ended up deciding it must have gone flying out of a window as it tumbled down the cliff, but Kazuki must have hidden it from the start. After years buried beneath the earth, the words Takazono Private Academy Basketball Club that we'd written on the side in permanent marker had faded to an illegible smudge. But other than that, the plastic box doesn't seem to have been damaged. Just what were you storing in this thing, Kazuki? Gently swing it open. What the? Inside I find a large quantity of dirty water that must have leaked through the cracks in a lid, a single kitchen knife, and a plastic Tupperware container. Other than that, there's nothing but soggy garbage decayed beyond recognition. This knife. I remember it well. This is the knife I pointed at my neck that day, the knife Kazuki gently took from my shaking hands. Why is this here? Whatever the case, I have a weapon now. Only other item that hasn't rotted away to nothing is an opaque white piece of Tupperware. When I take the damp plastic container in my hand and give it to a tentative shake, something inside makes a dry rustling sound. What is this? Inside there's a folded sheet of white notebook paper. Another letter? With trembling hands I unfold the letter and begin to read. To my dear best friend, Suo Amane. First of all, congratulations on getting I got alive. If you're reading this letter, I expect several years have passed since the accident. You're finally beginning to calm down and face up to what occurred here. I'm sure you opened this box in search of answers, an explanation of the events after your escape. Therefore, I'll give you the executive summary. Everyone died from illness. Surprised? Well, I should think so. Very well then, I'll give you a short rundown of the particulars. The trigger of these events, that is to say, the ultimate cause of their deaths, was eating improperly prepared meat. Any animal carries its share of dangerous bacteria and germs within its body, and I'm afraid this one was consumed under unsanitary conditions. As a result, the group experienced an abrupt outbreak of acute internal disease. Symptoms included shivers, vertigo, fatigue, as well as diarrhea and the dehydration that accompanied it. Within 2 or 4 days of sickening, nearly all were dead. The one who truly saved your life might well have been the germs swarming over that meat. But I know your gentle heart. I'm sure you're giving all the credit to your dear friend Kazami Kazuki, who offered up your body to protect you. I'm sure you've offered me many tearful thanks. Therefore, I got a favor to ask you. If my little brother lost his way, if he's suffering alone, I want you to find him and help him. My Yuji is a cowardly little crybaby. His kindness is all he has going for him. A bit of a hopeless boy, really. Even so, he's my one and only brother and I love him very much. Leaving him is my only regret. If Yuji happens to be standing next to you as you read this, he's a very fortunate young man. He needs a reliable woman by his side. He's a sword who can't manage anything alone. If possible, I'd like you to watch over my little brother forever. Well then, so long as we're both alive, let's meet again somewhere someday. Respectfully yours, the greatest friend of your life, Kazami Kazuki. If by some chance you currently find yourself in a life or death situation, take the attached kitchen knife and please do your best to eliminate the threat by your own power. I will no longer save you. Believe in a happier tomorrow. If necessary, fight for it. I firmly believe you're capable of blazing your own path forward. What the heck is this? In the end, what happened to Kazuki? I mean, when did she even write this? Hey, are you alive or are you dead? Which is it, Kazuki? And how could she possibly know my situation this precisely? Was she even human? Monster feels a lot more convincing right now. You're just too much, Kazuki. I give up. I have no idea when she wrote this letter or why. But there's one thing only I understand very clearly. I understand, Kazuki. Your wish has always been my command. I'll protect Yuji no matter what it takes. That's a promise. Yeah! Yeah! Run, damn you! Gonna move on! What's wrong, huh? Well... This guy sounds like this guy's riding a mechanical bull or something. I can just now picture this guy riding a bull. Yeah! And then firing his gun. What's wrong, huh? Well, you gotta scamper around with a little more energy than that or it's no damn fun. Shut the hell up already. Give me a damn break here. Maybe batshit, but the man's still a hell of a hunter. He's playing with me. It's unbelievably frustrating to know that, but there's nothing I can do about it. Whenever I slow my pace and try to observe his approach, a gunshot instantly rings out, bursting apart a tree a few feet ahead and showering me in sharp fragments of wood. I've been looking to take advantage of the reload time required after every 2 shots, but he's been reloading after every blast. Always leaving at least 1 bullet loaded as insurance against the counterattack. Normally dropping low and crawling concealed along the muddy ground might be a better plan, but won't do much good here. This guy's got a shotgun. Even a haphazard shot in my general direction has a good chance of hitting me. Given the smallest opening, I could take measures to fight back directly, but after every shot, Sakashita melts back into the thick green forest. He's slowly, methodically pushing me into a corner without the briefest moment of carelessness. Feels like I'm a boxer getting a kick to the face every time I try to pull myself up off the canvas. He's not letting me do a thing. Bastard. Cursing is not the most I can do. Helps with the stress, but very little else. Since drawing Sakashita's attention, I've been grazed by the shotgun's blast numerous times. By now, I'm covered in fresh gunshot wounds, bleeding copiously and drawing breath in wheezing gasps. My vision's beginning to grow dim. Okay, time to go down. Mind your leg! Boom! Gah! The latest barrage of lethal pellets grazed my right thigh, knocking it violently forward with an impact like a powerful low kick. Pitched forward, crashing to the ground. Unable to even control my fall, I clumsily smashed into the rocky soil. Raising my head, I spit out the gravel and dirt I plunged into my mouth, but that's the most I can manage. I can no longer rise to my feet. What's the matter, Kazami-san? Are we done already? God damn it, I'm not your toy, old man. Sakashida's scheme is completely transparent. He's purposely toying with me, tormenting me at length in an attempt to lure out Amane. The man emerges from the woods and advances slowly. Staring down at me as he cracks open a shotgun, ejecting the shell he fired, retrieves another from the pouch around his waist and pushes it into the barrel. So it seems that woman's abandoned you. Run off alone to save her own skin once again. What a vile, disgusting woman. Why on earth is everyone so set on protecting a piece of garbage like her anyway? I don't offer an answer to his question. No, more accurately, I don't have the composure necessary to answer. I crawl forward on the uneven ground, every breath I take a gasp, every frantic beat of my heart sending more blood spurting out of my wounds. Is it because she's a whore? Is that it? I suppose that would explain why that degenerate teacher Ochi spared Amane-san's life, wouldn't it? Shut the fuck up! No one asked for your opinion on my woman! I'll kill you, asshole! Still very energetic, aren't we? So very young. Let's get a little more hot blood out of your veins. Here! Gah! Got another gunshot, this time grazing the thigh of my left leg. It's clearly not a direct hit. As he fired from point-blank range, the impact still knocks my leg violently into the air. Feels hot more than anything else, but that probably just means my sense of pain is beginning to shut down. Amane-san, is this alright with you? At this rate, your boyfriend's gonna die a pointless death, you know? Shut up, don't call a woman in the middle of an one-on-one fight! I really don't think you can call this a fight, kid. But even as he sneers down at me, Sakashida methodically reloads a single shell he's fired. Remaining fully alert. Amane, stay away, you got that? You don't need to come back. I'll take him to hell by myself. Shit, stand up. You're going to stand up, Yuji. You weren't trained gently enough to go down this easy, were you? Ooh, and he stands once more. Such fortitude. A real macho man. Why on earth are you trying so hard? No, do tell me. Why push yourself so far? For her sake, obviously. If your daughter's life was on the line, you'd go this far yourself, wouldn't you? True, very true. I see, but that's that. I simply can't imagine that Amane is remotely worthy of such valiant efforts. Why die like a dog for a piece of garbage like her? Don't be an idiot. I'm off the clock right now. I've got no intention of dying like a dog for anything other than my country. Come on now. You were moments away from dying for that Amane-san of yours. I was finally going to have a family of my own. If I die for her, no matter how or where, it'll never be a dog's death. In the end, it's nothing but a brat's prattle. You let me down. I mean, please, it seems that piece of trash really has run off to save her own skin, you know? Here you are, suffering so nobly on her behalf, and she doesn't even try to come to your aid. I hear they call her a cockroach, but that's hardly fair to the poor creature, is it? The woman's a loathsome, spineless dung beetle. I gave her strict orders to stay away. She's a well-behaved, understanding woman. How very nice for you. I get the picture. I thought I used you as bait to lure out that shit-eating insect, but it seems it was all wasted effort. What a shame. I apologize for making you play along with this meaningless farce, Kazami-san. Not to worry, I'll put you out of your misery now. That a fact? Much obliged for your trouble. Better make sure you do it right, though. If I survive this, it's your turn. You don't say. That sounds rather entertaining. I've never heard of a man who survived having his head blown off, but who knows? Okay, then. Goodbye. Sayonara! Shit. What the hell, that's it? After all that big talk, this is all I got? Pretty lame. But Amane got away. This isn't a meaningless death. That's good enough, right? In that instant, the sound of branches snapping, bushes rustling. Don't tell me. Lifting myself up off my back, I turn over to look my shoulder to find my fears confirmed. Amane rushes forward out through the forest. A gleaming kitchen knife somehow clutched at her waist, screaming a fierce war cry. What the? Trucking forward on the collision course to Sakashida, gripping her knife tightly at the hip with two white-knuckled hands. Amane is the very picture of a wrathful demon. The sheer bloody determination and hate in her eyes would make any who see them recall the words death before surrender. You goddamn cockroach! Sakashida, momentarily overwhelmed by Amane's spirit, flinches slightly before moving to aim the shotgun in his hands. Not missing her chance, Amane lowers her body and closes the last few meters in an instant. Ramming her shoulder into Sakashida's left flank, she swings the knife shelter to her side up toward his gut. And twisting her waist forward with the thrust, she stabs the blade home with all her strength. Amane! It was a beautiful thrust, as forceful and sudden as a flash of lightning. But why did you come back? You utter idiot! Like hell you will. Yuji's got A reliable woman at his side. I'll never let you take him away from me. Amane leans forward, pushing all her body weight into the knife, twisting in vicious circles to enlarge the wound. Ugh. Hideous bitch. Sit the hell down! In the next instant, she's blown backward by a point-blank blast from Sakashida's shotgun. Tossed through the air like a doll by the impact, a cloud of scorched blood and pulverized flesh scatters from Amane's stomach. Starring with rage, Sakashida raises his gun for a second shot. How dare you! Die! Die! Amane! A burning red haze fills my mind. Somehow pulling myself up out of a pool of my own blood. Somehow I'm staggering towards Sakashida, but very slowly. Even in my shock of agony and fury, I understand with painful clarity I'm moving in slow motion. Shut the hell up. You're dead too, you stupid bastard. At the instant the muzzle of Sakashina's gun aligns with his line of sight, I realize he's drawn a bead on my head, and instantly twist my body to the side. Gah! Lower barrel of the shotgun flashes a brilliant red. The pellets tear past my head, taking most of my left ear with them. Scorching gas hits me full in the face, scalding my left eye. Even so, I lunge forward blindly, grappling with Sakashida, my hand seeking his throat. Little punk. So damn persistent. Get your filthy hands the hell off of me! Ugh! Sakashida swings his shotgun like a club, solidly catching the side of my head with a jarring crunch. My violently concussed brain loses all sense of balance and I crumble to the ground. Christ. Every last one of them doesn't know when to quit. Yuji! You worthless little shit. Why the hell are you still alive? I shot you, didn't I? Shut up and die already, you disgusting insect! Oh, goddammit, with the bullets! Hold on, you! Yuji. Yuji. No, you can't be. Are you dead? Hey, Yuji. She's seriously moving? A cockroach indeed. You're a tenacious little bugger. Blew off half your stomach and you're still crawling around. Disgusting. I take it all back, yes. You're a cockroach to the core, Amane-san. I'm roused from my half-conscious daze by the sound of Sakashida's insane laughter. Amane. Yuji? Hello there, Kazami-san. Still alive, are we? That's a lucky break. Hold on just a second, will you? I'm gonna blast you into a pile of bloody chunks right before this cockroach's eyes. Sound good? Once again, he turns his gun to me, training the barrels on my head. And this time I can't move an inch. End of the line, huh? Not yet. If nothing else, I've got to save Amane. If I can't do that, I'll really die a useless, meaningless death, like the dog I've always been. Up until now, I haven't done a single worthwhile thing in my entire pathetic excuse for a life. At the end, just once, I want to protect someone I love and go to hell with my head held high. I'm not giving up yet. Come on, Sakashida. I'll glare you to death. My scorched left eye is glued shut with a fierce effort of will. I force my right wide open and take in an unbelievable scene. What? You little... You bit me! You fucking bit me! You goddamn insect! Get the hell off! Are you a dog? Shit! I bleed... That hurts! You dumb bitch! I'm telling you to get off me! I'll die before I let you escape me. You disgusting little freak! Get off me! Oh no, what's she beating her over? What is that she's beating her over the head with? I'm guessing like one in the end of the shotgun or something? I'll never stop. I'll never let go. At the very least, I'll take one arm with me. I'll bite your arm clean off and drag it down to hell with me. Oh damn whore! I'll show you, you little shit! I'm sick of running alone, surviving alone. There's nothing good about a life like that. It's nothing but pain. And I promised Kazuki I'd protect Yuji no matter what. I gave her my word. Just fucking die already! Yuji. Thank you, Yuji. It's a shame. I really truly mean that. A real shame, but I guess this is goodbye. Thank you for becoming my punishment. Thank you so much. Kazuki saved my life, but in the end I couldn't do much with it. Even so, it was really fun meeting you. And now with this done, I can finally die. So thank you, Yuji. And I'm sorry, Yuji. The hell is this woman? Is she even human? Goddamn monster! Shit. God, that hurts. She ripped the flesh right off my arm. Unbelievable. Fucking cannibal. Rotten hell. Amane! Hey there, Kazami-san. Your woman's fucked in the head. Maintaining a constant stream of curses, Sakashita pulls Amane's broken teeth from his wound one by one, hurling them onto the ground at his feet with a disgusted shudder. Amane, you fought hard, didn't you? To the very last, you never gave up. Just what I expect to see from the woman I fell in love with. You got some real goddamn guts. Well done. I'd give you a hand of applause if I could, no matter what anyone says. You're the best woman in the whole damn world. You can run ahead with that arm of Sakashita's. I'll take care of the rest. Not to worry, I'll catch you up soon. Just sit on your heels and wait. Stubborn beyond fucking belief, the pair of them. First time I've shot a human being, but they're a hell of a lot more tenacious than you'd think. Sorry to have kept you waiting. You're next, Kazami-san. Watching Sakashita's face twist in cruel pleasure that were my one functioning eye. Listening to his indifferent, strangely flat words, my one intact ear. Strange calm wells up within me. It's not that I've given into despair. It's just that for some reason only one thought in my mind. Warm, wistful, silly thought, utterly out of place in this cold world. I want to eat her cooking just one more time, and right now nothing else seems to matter. Pushing 2 shells into the shotgun in the air with finality. Sakashita tries to take a step toward me. Instead, he jerks to a halt and furrows his brow in confusion. What the hell? I follow Sakashita's gaze towards the ground. Once again, we confront the unbelievable. Amane collapsed limply at Sakashita's feet, has firmly locked her right hand around his booted ankle. What? She's still alive? The color draining from his face. Sakashita quickly tries to shake his leg free, but Amane's grip doesn't falter in the slightest. Hey, this woman! She's already dead, but she won't. Why? Why won't she let go? Get that off of me. You goddamn monster! Sakashita gibbers madly, his teeth chattering audibly in his mouth. Bringing a shotgun to bear on Amane's body, he fires a shot point blank at her back, but her clutching hand doesn't even twitch. She's been dead, but even in death, she won't release her grip. I see how it is, Amane. One arm wasn't enough for you, eh? Greedy woman. You'll never change. When my son burst laughed, the last slender thread holding Sakashita something resembling sanity snaps. Somehow gulping a great mouthfuls of air even as he shrieks, Sakashita kicks his leg frantically into the air, staring with goggling eyes at Amane's white hand, finding its implacable grip to no avail. Terrifying. Truly terrifying. Is that what human hatred could be? A thing that takes on a life of its own? A spirit that grows only fiercer in death? No! Get off me! Get off me! The thing clutching Sakashita's ankle is no longer Amane. It's death itself, taking Amane's form. Desperate to shake off that cold hand, Sakashita kicks fell into the air one final time and loses balance. Tumbling hard to the rocky ground as if dragged down by Amane's body, his head strikes a boulder with a wet crack. With a strange little shriek, Sakashita stops moving. Ignoring him, I begin to crawl my way across the ground. Through the slippery blood that coats the harsh earth, I drag myself to Amane. Hey, Amane? Somehow reaching her at last, I pull myself to my knees and raise her body from the ground. I look down to her face after so many vicious blows, nothing but a swollen mass of shattered bones. Her ruined mouth full of broken teeth is smiling contentedly in death. Staring into the face of a woman who fought to the death and beyond. A cold emptiness floods into my heart. The hell are you grinning for, woman? There wasn't a single damn thing in your life worth smiling about. If you didn't notice, I was trying to give you something to live for, idiot. We were still just getting started. How many times did I tell you we weren't allowed to die? There wasn't a single good reason for you to die here. You complete and utter idiot. Even so, Amane died protecting the life of someone she loved. Maybe that was enough for her. Maybe that was what she'd wanted all along, whatever the case. Amane, you died a worthy death as a human being. Amane, well done. I'm glad I fell in love with you, I really mean that. When you told me you wanted to take Kazuki's place, I scolded you. I told you there was only one Kazuki, that no one could ever replace her. But the thing is, that's true for you as well. Always has been. No one could ever take your place. As far as I'm concerned, you were the greatest damn woman in the world. Well then, what do you know, Sakashita-san? It seems I survived. Hey, do you remember what I told you just a little while ago? That's right. I spelled it out for you, didn't I? If I survive this, it's your turn, remember that? Sorry to keep you waiting. Slipped my mind for a moment there. It's your turn now. I gently pulled the shotgun out of Sakashita's unconscious hands. Haven't been, so I can't speak from experience, but hell, might not be so bad once you get used to it, you know? Well, you head along first and send me back a postcard. I'm sure your daughter's waiting for you on the other side. Once again, I failed. Once again, I couldn't protect anyone. If only I could turn back time, it'd all be different. Just one more chance and I pull it off beautifully. Once again, the weight of a woman's death settles on my shoulders. Once again, I'm alone. Holding Amane's battered, cold body in my arms, I stare quietly up in the sky. There's nothing above me. Nothing but a single curling column of gunpowder smoke rising silently up into the void. And then it just ends. I'm guessing you only get credits after good endings and whatnot, right? So I assume he eventually just crawls his way back out of that valley, but Amane's not getting back up after that. Right, so I guess it's just all of the speculation at that point, what's supposed to happen next. So, how long were we live for? 2 hours and 20 minutes or so? Okay, so not quite 2.5 hours, and I got through both endings of Amane Route, so I definitely think it's time to just stop the stream here. Give myself a pat on the back. Mainly due to the fact that I actually decided to pick this back up after months of just not playing it at all.